Progress.
You're gonna be there anyway?
Yeah, so she
Right.
said I could be last.
Well, I'm putting you first only because here, and I'm gonna try to get what the, like, he wanted to be here for fire and park and recreation.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying, I'm gonna move this. What's the date today?
26.
The February 26th meeting of the Tiverton Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, so we're gonna start with let's do attendance, Joan.
Yep.
Counselor Edwards,
Here.
Counselor Janik,
Here.
Counselor Burke,
Here.
Counselor DiMederos,
Here.
Counselor Cook.
Here,
Counselor Vieira is absent, and Counselor Perry is absent right now, may be able to attend later.
All right, so we're gonna start with town clerk. Go for it, Joan. Let's do yours first.
Okay, for the first piece of my budget is the town clerk's office. That's account 1010. You'll see that there's, for the department management salary and the deputy clerk salary, it represents a 2% increase. For staff salaries, you'll notice that it went down from the previous year as we lost a senior person. We had Christine, she moved over to the tax assessor / tax collector's office. So we're hiring a new person. She starts on March 1st, and she would be at the lowest level in the union contract. So that's why that went down. Overtime I decreased. We have not been spending as much as in the past. So we've brought that down. For the longevity, as I mentioned, we lost Christine, so our longevity goes down. We only have one person that is on the longevity plan with the ASME contract. For the photocopy lease / maintenance, actually, any questions so far?
Everybody needs to look at the updated budget that Chris sent us, because everything in print is not what Joan is saying.
So is it what he said last night?
Yeah. 26, 22.
Because it's a little different, Joan. And that's okay. It's just
Oh, what he sent us this morning.
what he sent us this morning is
I
a
think
little
it was this
different.
morning, yeah.
Chris, Mike Marcello is asking if you want to let him in.
Alright.
Well, I don't know.
Hang on. I didn't think my numbers are different than Jones. That,
Yeah, Chris, not in the book, but in the other one we were given.
okay.
The 110,
Let me
22.
look at the book now.
Yeah, the one in the book is old. So this,
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one, the
Whoa,
other
whoa,
one is
whoa.
even older,
right.
the one you gave in January.
So you need to use the January 26th one, the February 26th one, which was just given out.
Yeah,
It should have been in your packets if you picked up the box last night. I emailed it to everybody this morning, just in case you didn't pick up the box last night.
It's,
I have it.
so the one I picked up last night is okay then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it says the 24th.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
So the only,
It is, it's for the, it was, okay, it is the 24th, I'm sorry. It says the 26th on the side because I thought
Oh,
that we'll be doing
yeah.
some things on a council meeting on Monday. That's why
Okay.
it's,
I just want to make sure I'm on the right one.
yep, you are.
So the only real difference between the spreadsheet that you just sent us and the book is the recording expenses is $1,000 more.
No, ask me salaries.
Yeah, there were a number of changes.
There's a number of
Right.
changes. Ask me salaries is different.
No,
There's a lot, there's a number of changes. You gotta follow what Chris sent you.
If
Or
you,
what you picked
and
up in the
actually,
mail.
if you look at in the budget book itself, the backup to the spreadsheet, that has the same numbers.
Okay,
yeah, it does.
yeah, I can't be looking at three different things.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the computer right now. And Mike, I love your background today, but it's gonna get us hungry
Oh, God, look at all that.
because we're not gonna take lunch.
You
So,
opened the farmer's market.
yeah,
I hope you got.
I
hope
just
you got-
noticed it. It was kind of like,
You got a special permit for that. under the zoning code.
all right, I'm sorry, Joan.
Hey,
So
Mike.
go on. I just want to make sure people were following what I was following. So
Okay,
where were
so-
we? So photocopier went down.
The longevity went down. That was the last item. The
Okay,
next item is the photocopy lease
went up.
/ maintenance is actually, that also includes the postage meter lease agreement. The postage meter hadn't been, we hadn't been paying for it for quite a while. And it died, so we discovered that we had to have a new contract. So those lease payments are $266.61 per month. So that, talking to the treasurer, since multiple departments use it, it's not really enough to like spread out amongst all of the departments that use the postage meter. So it'll be in my budget, the entire cost of that contract. So we put it in with the photocopier lease as being the lease payments for the department. So that's why that went up quite a bit,
Okay,
because of the postage meter lease. We were getting away for quite a while without paying. Recording expenses, okay, that should say 30,000. That has gone up. For recording expenses, that's for the land evidence records. I have been put out an RFP for replacing it. And what I discovered is that there's a lot more complexity to it. And I really need to go out for a new RFP through BidNet to separate out hardware, the software costs. Because if we pay the hardware cost, if we pay the hardware costs through them, we're paying more over the 5-year agreement. So we're trying to, we'll be going out for a new RFP so we can information back from the customer to separate out the hardware versus software costs.
Joan, is this anything that's on the state master price agreements?
No,
No, okay.
no, you have to go out for RFP, you have to go out for bid. There's about 4 or 5 major players, well, actually 3 major players in Rhode Island, and there's a couple of minor players. And I have been in contact with all of the other town clerks, city clerks, and what they use. Some of the bigger cities use off brands, one-off company, but the majority of them are using, who we use today is Avenue. And there's another set that use CoFile, and then a third set that uses IQS. And then the new players are New Vision and COT Systems. So I really need to see the money breakdown for the hardware versus the software. So right now, this is basically requesting 30,000. And And that may go down if the RFP responses me some good feedback on the hardware versus software costs. The next item is the recodified town code. I reduced that to 12,000. We have not had very many ordinance changes so far this fiscal year. I expect some this year. This is to recodify the town code. It's a requirement in the charter to have the solicitor go through and update code for state law changes and stuff like that. So I'm only putting 12,000 in at this point. I'm not expecting a lot more activity on that. And then supply costs is basically flat at 9,000. My next piece of the budget is the Board of Canvas.
Yeah, I just want to commend you, Joan, because your increase is so it's 0.03%. That's really good.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it down
Thank you.
because the next one goes up.
All right, well, that's all right. I'm giving you a compliment now. All right, so.
Wow.
So the next one is Board of Canvases, account 1030. So basically it's flat for all of the expenses for the board stipends, the supplies and miscellaneous, and the computer service. The elections restricted account is, I'm asking for 21,000. In the backup, you'll see that I'm expecting a carryover of about 40,000. Right now, I think it's probably close to 70,000. But I expect this year's election account, or 83,000, it might be up to. We have the FTR this year, and we also have the re-precincting, which is, that's 10,000. Plus, we have to do a voter registration, voter information mailing to send out to each registered voter in Tiverton of what the new Senate, House, and town precinct changes are. So that in and of itself is about 2,000 for the actual postcards and about 4,000 to 5,000 for mailing. So I'm estimating I'll have it about 40,000 left in the account.
I think the state should pay for that since they redistrict for that.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
It's the postage that costs the most.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
should pay for it since they started this, but go ahead.
Wasn't
Yeah.
our idea.
Actually, it's by federal law that it has to happen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I'm only kidding, Mike.
Well, then the
They
federal
should still
government should pay for it.
You know?
So for next year's budget, there will be the statewide primary in September, then the general election in November, plus the following year, the FTR. So I think with the 40 and the 21,000, you'll see below, I'm estimating, sometimes we don't have a primary. If we don't have multiple people running from the same party. So that sometimes we don't have one. So, or actually, I think, yeah, it's 50-50. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So I have to put in for it, but it may not happen. We definitely will have the general and the FTR. So I'm only asking for 21 at this point to cover the estimate of about 61,000.
So can I just say,
Ahead.
that's a restricted account. So if we don't have that primary, that'll stay in there, and then next year we could go lower on that account.
Correct. Because last year's budget was so much money in the account, we didn't request any funding for elections in the last fiscal year.
And I was just gonna bring that up. Last year, you did a calculation and decided that you didn't need any
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep. So in this current fiscal year and the approved budget, you'll see it says 0.
My one question is, and I understand the rationale, but does it make sense in future years to always budget something in there so we don't have such a leap in one year?
Yeah, and that's
Used to
why
do that.
it's really monitoring it. And in the backup, you'll see that I have forecasted out the fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. So there's not, like I said, there's not much variation. You do have the presidential preference primary in the 24 fiscal year and the referendum, but then in the fiscal year 25, you'll have, may have a primary, we'll have the general and then the FTR. So I think you got to monitor it as to what gets carried over and what doesn't. And for fiscal year 20, and actually the March election, this past March election on the bonds, we received some funding from an outside source. I think it was CTCL. So we did, that reduced what we had to, the amount that had to come out of this account, but you can't always count on that, getting any grants to cover the expenses. And the expenses were for, and the first one was for PPE because of COVID. And then they had leftovers and then I said, you can use this grant for whatever. So.
Also,
That's
we
really-
didn't know that we were gonna end up having to have to redistrict, so
No.
that was a variable too, right? Because they could have kept the districts the same. They did that per the census, right?
Right.
Yes, yeah, it's very unusual after a census to keep the districts exactly the
All
same.
right, okay.
And I
Oh,
believe at one time,
and we knew that there was enough funding in there for that. Being 10,000 for the actual services, and then the mailing is where that's another about 6,000. I had been figuring anywhere between 10 and 15,000 in this past budget, and there was plenty of money in there. It was like 85,000, so it was plenty of money in there to cover that, plus the elections that we needed to handle this year in this year's fiscal budget. So I'm not sure you can flatten it out entirely,
Right.
considering the primaries where it'll fluctuate, whether there is one or not.
Joan, didn't we at one time, I mean, we got away from it, but I think we used to put like $40,000 in it every other year or yearly or something.
Yeah, I think there was money put in each year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But if you also remember, we last fiscal year, and that's the next account, which is 1100, which is the financial town referendum. That money went into the elections account.
Right.
So no money is being put in the FTR account because it's an election. So that all goes into the elections account now, which is restricted. The FTR account was not restricted.
right.
and that was a good idea to do it that
Yeah.
way.
So you'll see the 1100 account financial town referendum. It started out with, the approved budget was 33,000. We only spent close to 5,000 again. Half of that was because of the lateness of the FTR, half of it was for paid in the previous fiscal year and then half of it in this fiscal year. So last year we transferred the remaining balance in the FTR account into the elections restricted account. So you guys did that for me. Thank you very much.
Made sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. So there's no request for any funding for the financial town referendum because that's now in the elections account. And then the last account that I have is the 1970. Oh, that was a good year. 1970 is probate court. I've asked for the probate court judge, I've asked for an increase in his salary of 500, from 8,500 to 9,000. I know it's a little over 5% increase, but he really hasn't had any increase since 2008 fiscal year. And we actually make quite a bit of money on this. I think we made, we spend around 12,000, and then he brings in anywhere from 20 to 30,000 in the last few revenue cycles.
What page is that on? Do you know?
Probate, it's after land use.
It's on page 7 of the
Oh,
spreadsheet.
okay. All right. I'm like all over the place here. All right.
Yep, page 7.
Okay, thanks.
So I figured it was a minor increase. Like I said, he hasn't had an increase since 2008, which is 15, quite a few years.
Yep. May I say something? Was he complaining? I mean, it's something that's appointed. They don't have to apply. I don't understand.
He's
there a
actually
complaint?
elected,
Oh, the probate, Dario, right? I'm sorry.
correct? He's actually elected,
Well,
and the amount of work that he does has increased. I have seen it. It's tremendous, the amount of guardianships, name changes, just the volume of probate, considering COVID. 2020 was a very busy year that has swung into 21 with a lot of activity. I've just in the time I've been there, he does put a lot of time in.
So I hear that. I guess my question is, I don't think we're increasing any other elected salaries, are we?
I'm elected.
Are we increasing yours too?
Yes.
I'm putting in
Okay.
2%.
yeah.
Okay.
And the treasurer would be the third.
Yeah, and I think
Elected.
we're increasing her too.
Okay.
Mhm.
Really, it's only us.
And for the recording expense, if I left it flat,
Yeah.
and the supplies basically are in line. For the program software, not sure why it was, I left it at 600 last year. I wasn't sure of what it was, and it really is only around 400. So I've reduced that by 200.
They do.
Mhm. Are we doing anything with this, or are we just listening to her presentation?
I think it's important that you have the information so you know where the money is going in the budget for the town clerk's office and what I'm responsible for. So that's why I'm out. If you have any questions.
My question is though, is the probate court something we can change?
How do you mean?
Not that I want to.
Now,
we
do we
can't
have the
change-
authority to change that
Right, we
as
can't
opposed to your
change the town
office?
clerk, but I think we can change the probate court if we wanted to, because that,
To what?
well, see, Joan's
No.
budget, you can't touch. Joan brings in the
Right.
town clerk's
Right.
budget.
Okay.
You can't touch. The probate court, Joan goes through the budget because she works closely with them. But I'm
Right.
not sure it's a budget we can't touch. Not that I want to. I'm just
No.
mentioning that.
Yeah.
Am
No,
I right?
I'm not sure because I am clerk of the probate court.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I've never had that question asked. I mean, I think
Yeah.
a $500 increase is reasonable. So I don't want to change that, but I'm not sure legally if we can change this.
I don't know, but if you have feedback for me now, I'll take it and we can all agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does say, excluding the town treasurer and town clerk's budgets. I mean, it has an S at the end of it. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe it's an S at the end of it because we're talking about a
Both.
plural treasurers and town clerk. I
Right.
think we used to do stuff with the probate court before because it wasn't exactly town clerk, so to speak, her office, but
It's a separately listed item in the charter.
okay.
Yeah, and this is only a $300 increase.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
it.
On it.
Yeah,
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Every time, 300 here and 500 there, it all adds up and then someone's got a 4% budget increase. I mean, I'm not for a 5.88% increase. I haven't heard the man complain. He runs for election, that's his choice. I would be more for half or 250, just to be fair. But a big increase like that, or 2% increase like everybody else gets, I'm just not for that. Sorry.
And Don, I don't necessarily disagree with you. My only concern is that for the past 20 years, I think at least, he's been the only person running for that office. So
Well,
if he
maybe no one-
decides,
Oh, I
well,
don't-
but I mean, so, and as well, I mean, he at some point may want to retire from that office. So
Yeah,
we're going to be in a jam when that happens.
well, we don't know that. Some people don't run because someone's done it for so long, they just don't even bother because they won't win or something like that. I'm just me. No, it has 2% is enough. Sorry.
Now, by the way, everyone, we didn't do it last week because there was a lot of questions, but we can actually preliminary vote on these. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
So if anybody wanted to preliminary vote on these, they could. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Joan?
I just want to reiterate, this particular position has not had an increase in 15 years.
It really saves the taxpayer though. I mean, I'm not going to be awful about this, but enough with of all the increases. It's some of them, I mean, it all adds up and people are hurting. I really don't want to do anything because Joe's not here and I think it's unfair, but if he was here, I would make a motion, but whatever anyone wants to do as far as that goes, at 5.88%. I'm sorry, it's too much for me. I'm talking about me.
Any other questions or is there a motion? I'm sorry about me. All right, then we'll move on. Mike Marcello, you presented a letter. Would you like to talk about it?
Okay, it's okay,
Sure.
it's okay. You're all right. You're okay. Oh, you can't hear
I
it.
think that so as you know, the current legal department is funded total for $130,000, which is $100,000 from the solicitor and $30,000 from the land use planning. It is a flat fee, and based upon that, it comes out to be $10,833.33 a month, which I just noticed on Chris's budget. I guess, Chris, you're still not taking it out on a monthly basis out of the land use thing, because I don't think there's any.
Oh, I thought we corrected that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like it. I don't know if you did or not, but it looks like you're running an overage.
Are you just looking at the budget or you're looking at the expenditures?
I'm looking at the expenditures. I don't think you. Maybe I'm misreading it, but I didn't see that it was.
I don't know what you're looking at, so.
Looking at your budget, and it looks on the land use, it didn't look like there was any deductions for the land use.
Oh,
We didn't do land use yet.
No, but it looks like
Legal
I'm looking at
services.
legal services. Oh, actually, there is a deduction. Sorry, 7,000. Okay.
that, you can't go by that anyhow.
Okay.
We made that adjustment after that.
Okay.
What the?
So, So that's what that comes down to. As I explained in my letter, most law firms, we have to convert, not that we have to, but most law firms convert it to an hourly rate. So in order for us to track it, in my law firm, I converted that to an hourly rate of $160, $100 an hour, which comes to about 67 hours per month. And the increase I'm proposing is to increase, and it doesn't really matter where it comes from, but increasing the total appropriation to 175, which would be a rate of 195 a month, excuse me, 195 an hour, and increase the hours to about 75 hours per month. I will say, I did speak to, I spoke out, 160 an hour is pretty low for legal services within the state for municipal work, but that's where you guys have been at for a long time. So just out there for your consideration. I really have no more to say. I think the way I have to track it is, I'll be perfectly honest with you, there are months that when I go over 67 hours per month, and there are months that are not, especially like, around the holidays, we don't really do 67 hours a month, but I expect with all the work that's going to be happening that there will be a lot of work with the solar ordinances, and there's the charter reform and all that other stuff that's going on. So be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Mike?
Yeah.
Do you you're a solicitor not only of Tiverton, but of East Providence. So you're a solicitor anyplace else?
That's it, just 2 places. It's
Okay.
enough.
I tried to look up what the fee was. Of course, it's a big city, but do you know what you get, what the hourly rate is for that, or what the hours are for that?
Yeah, so they pay a straight hourly rate. There's no cap. So they pay my hours for what I use. In other words, so if I bill 100 hours, they'll pay the 100 hours. If I bill 200 hours that month, they'll pay me the 200 hours. I believe that fee is right now is at 175 an hour. But again, it's not capped.
Okay.
Yeah, and, oh, sorry, Donna.
No, I was looking at Portsmouth, which is totally not your arena, but everyone does something different. So it's a little bit difficult to figure out if what's fair or not fair. And of course, people are going to put their own bill in, but I'm looking at it, and it's like a fixed fee is $6,500. I suppose that's a month. Once again, I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Additional services are 125,000, which then comes up to 131,500. And then assistant solicitor. Oh no, that's prosecution. So that's what is costing them. Do they do anything different? I mean, do they have a different fee for, I guess, planning board? Or see, I don't know what their structure is. It makes it very difficult. I'm just trying to figure out what's fair or not fair.
I appreciate that. I don't really know how Portsmouth operates. Everyone does it a little differently.
Yeah.
But you guys break it up between land use planning and general solicitor services. I don't know if they do that as well.
Well, one more question. You're a town councilor in Situate. Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. What is this? Who's the solicitor there, by the way, and what do they get?
Peter Ruggiero, and their flat fee. They get a flat fee, and I think it's either 120 or it's 120 a year. $10,000 a month.
10,000. Okay. And you get 10,833.33.
Correct.
I wonder why that wasn't rounded off. Anyway, okay, I guess it's a lot to think about. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, so well, you really, under legal services, the bottom line is the bottom line is increasing by 15,000.
Hold on.
So in the spreadsheet,
I'm
there
gonna
is no
explain it.
increase in the spreadsheet, just so you understand it. He's still
Right.
sitting at 130 on the spreadsheet.
Mhm.
We would
Yeah.
have to add $45,000 to bring it up to 175.
No,
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you got to add it in.
Yeah, the spreadsheet was made before. So just, I was trying to jump in before.
I'm sorry.
The thing to remember is too, that with a flat fee, we honestly get more bang for our buck than
Yeah.
if we were paying by the hour. And I'll give an example in my regular job. Work with a lot of school districts, and we had one particular school district that had been paying their solicitor, their attorney through a flat fee, and we were always being challenged by that district for the things that we worked with him on, because he could. I mean, he was being paid and he did it. And now they've moved to a different attorney, and that attorney is being paid by the hour. So the district is less likely to challenge things outright and try to work through things with us. So I think that's an advantage of having a flat fee. And certainly I know that what we pay as an hourly rate based on the assumptions is relatively low for most states, if not at least most New England states, if not just Rhode Island.
Mm.
All right, I just want to talk about this for a minute. It says you were proposing 175. So it's back to the line item that says 100.
So
But
it's,
you could split it up, but right. So so 130 is the total amount that you paid Denise from the accounting from the solicitor flat fee and the land use. So it's 100 from the solicitor fee and 30. So to get to 175, you have to increase. You're right, it's 45. Well, how you split that up, that's your, it doesn't
Yeah, but
matter.
how about the litigation? We're not talking litigation?
No, I didn't touch that budget because the litigation is, that's as, kind of as needed. I mean, last year we had the big litigation over the financial town
budget.
meeting
Yeah.
oh, the
budget, I'm
budget,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, but the other stuff, I mean, that budget seems to be, that's as is, and I think that fee is a little higher, but that's billable as needed.
All right,
That's not
that's
part of
where
the-
I'm confused.
That's not part of the flat fee. I guess I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's separate, right?
Right.
That's
That
always
is
been
separate.
separate. Yeah,
Always been separate, right? Yeah.
That's an as needed only.
yeah, but that's what land use issue is too.
yeah.
No, land use has somebody that has a representative there at every meeting.
Right.
Can I ask a question of Mike?
Yeah.
So your flat fee.
Yep.
How closely do you calculate or keep track of your billable hours?
I do. Chris gets a bill, and I think Denise gets the bill too, every month with the hours. And as I said, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, because I know that my firm is watching it as well. Like, I try to get within 67 hours every month. Sometimes I'm over that, and if I know that I'm going to be over that, I just won't put it in because I don't want it to flag to my firm, because they'll, they consider that losing money. But I generally, some months it's 85 hours, 100 hours, and some months it's maybe especially near the end of the year, it's usually less than that. But I do send an hourly breakdown of a per month per bill to the solicitor and to Chris and to Denise. And I don't know if Chris, I know that Chris looks at it because he
Oh, I
sometimes,
do.
I know he does. So
I
sometimes he
also
questions,
try not to call you if I don't need to.
but that's so that's how that comes back. So yes, I do. The answer is yes. I don't want to have a bill in front of me to tell you what it averages, but
Well, I guess where I was going with that was my question was going to be, how many hours do you actually really work for free? It sounds like the answer is not many.
No,
No,
he
it-
no,
it-
he does. He puts it on us.
Yeah, I know he does, and that's why I think maybe we're getting kind of a bargain with a flat rate, regardless of what the hourly rate is.
Right, so my next question is, the prosecutions went up. And
So the
yeah,
what
pros-
has to do
that was
with
Chris.
Mike?
I don't do prosecution.
That was me.
No, but I'm looking at the bottom line, that's what I'm looking at.
Yep.
So the prosecutions went up, what was the reason for that? I don't
Because
remember.
we're gonna need to find another one. I don't want to talk about that issue at the moment, but the last time that we went out, we had a very difficult time finding somebody to do this. And while I have, actually Chief Jones is on, I think we have like 3,500 cases a year that we deal with. You divide that by 17.5, it comes out to about $5 a case. It's a lot of work, and believe me, our cases have gone through the roof, and people know what it is when they look at Tiverton's work as it relates to Newport County, and they understand it. So we had a very difficult time trying to find somebody the last time we went out for a search. So I do think that we're gonna need to increase it.
All right, so what you're telling me is the bottom line right now, it's gonna increase by 45,000.
Correct.
I just needed to get that straight in my head, I'm sorry.
And I'll
any-
divide that number in between the land use and the solicitor. So while the 10,833 sounds like it should have been rounded, when you multiply it by 12, it actually comes out to 129,998, without the pennies. So that's why that number is the way it is. So we'll take the 145 and do the same thing and prorate it based on that ratio.
So that bottom line will increase to,
To 3,
I'm doing it now, but 3,1,
320 something.
320.
320. Does anyone want to make a decision on this yet, or do you want to go forward? So when we vote on the entire budget, I will ask if anybody wants changes. But if you want to do the changes now, we can. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Mike. All right, we'll do library services now.
Oh, hang on, let me bring Catherine in, and I think Carol Herman's here as well.
Yeah, she is. I'm trying to look for their budget.
Page 20.
Yeah, I know. Is there, but didn't they send us something?
Yeah, they did.
It was in the packets. I can send
Yeah,
it to
no,
you.
no, I got it, but does that reflect your spreadsheet?
I'm gonna have to look to see if there were any changes. I don't think there were.
I
I
don't
don't know.
believe there were either, but I
Okay.
didn't go through it line by line.
All right. All right,
Catherine should be here. Here she comes.
hi, Catherine.
Good morning.
You could, is Carol here too? Yeah, there you are. Hi,
Yes, and I
Carol.
just
Yes, I am. Good
texted
morning, Denise.
Sandy.
What?
Sandy Mantell should be in momentarily as well.
Okay, and we'll allow him in, I guess.
Thank you.
I'm teasing. I'm just teasing.
Do we gotta?
Yeah,
That's what page is that?
I'm just trying to find it. Give me a moment.
Of course, one thing is on the spreadsheet, it's always just the big number. It doesn't break it down into individual things like most of the others do.
Right, but they
Yeah.
usually,
So you have to look at their presentation.
which I don't,
It's line number 526 on the spreadsheet.
Yep.
Page 20.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not doing pages because I didn't go and get it, so
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. It's my fault.
And while we're waiting for Sandy to come in, if I may just
Let me see if he's
mention
here.
of this, our budget request is the same as what was on Chris's spreadsheet.
It is, yep.
Which I can't find, or whatever. Can someone tell me what the new number is?
It's 603.
Yep, it's on the old spreadsheet too.
It is. It's the same number.
Okay,
Changed.
And actually, what was in the book has far more detail. She did give a pretty good breakdown summary of that was submitted. I don't know if you get that mailed to, I can see if I have it. I can mail it
It's
to you, I
all right.
think.
it's all right. I have the book.
Okay.
I think, Catherine, did you mail this to us? Somebody sent us an email with this attached.
Yeah,
Yes, this
yeah.
was emailed yesterday.
I saw it somewhere, to tell you the truth. I read it actually, but I don't know what I did with it.
Oh, here he is. Hang on, let me get him in. Oh, this thing gives me trouble. Come on.
Catherine, we ended up giving you your maintenance fee out of our capital restricted last year. Okay. And like I've told everyone, if you have any capital expenses, we will be going through that at a different time because we are not going to ask for that in the budget. We're just going to take it from the different reserves we have. So at that point, Chris will notify you of any needs you have that you want to present to us. I found it. Hi, Sandy.
Hello,
We waited for you.
sorry.
No.
Problem.
It was a joke because I said I didn't know if I wanted to bring you in. All right. All right, Catherine, go ahead.
Sure. If my board budget subcommittee doesn't have any objections, I'll take it away.
Go for it.
Yeah, you
Great,
do
thank
very
you.
well, so I didn't think they'd have any objections.
I always like to check. Okay, so thank you all for having us this morning. And I did email you all a presentation yesterday, and there are also hard copies available in your mailboxes at Town Hall if you would prefer to get a hard copy in the future. What I'll do is I'll just go through a few points of what we've been up to over the past year, what we're looking forward to in this year, and also where we stand for next year. So on page 3 of your document, I have prepared the typical letter that I send you all to give you an overview of library services and what we've been doing this past year. A few points I'd like to highlight out of this letter are that we have just overall seen such a consistently positive response from the patrons who walk through our doors every day and those who use our services. One of the biggest challenges for us over the past year was converting all of our programs to virtual programs and then eventually to in-person, virtual, outdoor, hybrid, a little bit of everything. And I'd like to thank our wonderful library staff for doing all of that. They really make this library a wonderful place to be, providing services and programs for everyone to enjoy. Some of the programs I'd like to highlight were outdoor story walks, our take-home craft kits. We have a core group of patrons utilizing homebound delivery services where we deliver books to those who are not able to physically make it to the library, either on a temporary or a long-term basis. We also continue to offer both virtual and in-person lectures for adults as well. A few examples of our most popular lectures over the past year have included an American Sign Language Learning Circle and also a hiking Tiverton presentation, which was in partnership with the Tiverton Open Space Commission. Partnerships are one of the most valued resources that we hold close here at Tiverton Public Library. And over the past year, we've partnered with several Tiverton groups and businesses on many occasions. And some of those examples are us attending the Tiverton Farmers Market to promote our summer reading programs. We have a new book club that was started at Baja's Cat Cafe on Main Road. And West Place Animal Sanctuary's Wendy Taylor was one of our storytellers for our summer storytelling series. And more recently, we've begun hosting the Senior Center's watercolor painting class here at the library every week. And one of our library staff members still facilitates the book club at the Senior Center. So these partnerships are made possible with thanks to our friends of Tiverton Libraries who fund our library programs, our staff, of course, and our enthusiastic community partners. What all of these programs have in common is that the services and programs that we provide here benefit our patrons in many ways. And I like to provide you with the example of the AARP Tax Aid Foundation that's here on an annual basis. And volunteers last year worked 32 days during tax season and assisted 450 individuals. So with the number of tax returns filed and the average professionally filing cost, that means our patrons collectively saved over $58,000, which is astounding. So those are examples of programs that we like to provide and really make sure that the taxpayers are getting the bang for their buck here at Tiverton Public Library. Over the past couple of years, building maintenance has been a discussion point at these meetings and other meetings as well. So I'm happy to report we're in a very good place with building maintenance. We keep one-time repairs, but also longer term and capital repairs as a priority here. Our maintenance contracts are key in helping us to maintain our building on a regularly scheduled basis. And in February 2022, which was just earlier this month, the library board voted to pursue bids for capital projects using the fiscal year 22 capital funds of $15,000 that you had allotted to us in October of this year. I'll go into detail about the priorities that the library board voted on a little bit later in the presentation, but they overall include some safety improvements around our propane fill well area, parking lot seal coating and striping, and new outdoor furniture for our well-utilized terrace spaces. So looking ahead towards fiscal year 23, we look to expand our physical collection. This is always a request of our patrons. This has consistently been something that our patrons ask for, both in our 2018 and our 2020 patron survey. So we know we're on the right track with providing patrons with what they really want, and also making sure that building and property needs are well maintained. Last but not least, we're hoping to return to adequate staffing levels. I'm sure you've heard across the country how difficult staffing has been for many organizations, and ours has not escaped those difficulties. So we are really looking forward to returning to full staffing levels and hope that we can certainly achieve that and get back to a good spot there. So that's a little bit about the past, present, and future of what we're looking at with our budget here. And I also like to provide you all on page 5 with the mission statement and vision statement for the library. I'll go through the presentation and just highlight some points going forward until we get to the budget section. On page 6, there's some statistics that I like to highlight from fiscal year 21. Our circulation statistics have been fantastic, especially in spite of a global pandemic. Our patrons are still utilizing all the materials on our shelves, and our eZone, which is our digital collection of ebooks, audiobooks, and streaming video, has still taken off, and there has not been a year where we've seen an overall decrease in this collection use. It is shared by every public library in the state, so we're happy to have this for our patrons. One other quick note I'd just like to mention is that even though when the library is closed, there's still resources available, and our wireless internet is no exception. This year we were able to expand the parking lot Wi-Fi thanks to a Take It Outside grant from the state. This was actually applied for by Ocean State Libraries, which is our consortium, and they, in partnership with Ocean, were able to have outdoor Wi-Fi expanded for many, many public libraries in the state. So oftentimes you'll see folks here in our parking lot, they're using our Wi-Fi. So really the library is a 24/7 resource. In fiscal year 21, we had an astounding number of programs. There were 516 of them, and we had just about 6,000 participants in those programs. They range from everything that are one-on-one technology appointments to our larger lectures that I mentioned, to take-home crafts, and so many more. On page 7, I'd like to provide everyone with an organizational chart so that you can see where our staffing levels are, also how the staffing here at the library works between full-time and part-time staff members, and also provide you with a list of those positions that we have here at the library. Page 8 is a breakdown of our full-time equivalent information. So there's all of our staff members here have different duties. So it really depends on their position and what their position requires. And this gives an accurate breakdown of where staff are, what they're up to, and how they are operating here in the library with the time and hours that they are here. I'd just like to point out that for us to fully staff the library, we have 4 service points here in the library, and being open the number of hours per week that we are, it would take 212 hours of staff time per week to fully staff this library. Right now, we have 139 of those hours. So as you can see, the staff shortage has really impacted our staffing our service areas. So oftentimes our children's library and our teen library are not staffed because we have to default to having staff only in the office area where the phones are answered, where book drops are checked in, where the drive-through is answered, and our main information desk area. So going through onto page 9, I provide a bit more background about the FTEs here at the library. And also on page 9 is financial information. We receive grant aid from the state. This has gone up ever so slightly each year, and we're grateful for that, but it is still not at the 25% that the state should be granting us aid. So we would love to see that 25%, but it's usually somewhere between 21 and 22.5%. We also have our Bank Newport account, and a lot of these funds are for programs. That is a designated gift from our friends at the library who fund 100% of library programs. And we also have a fund balance as well, which is there in case of an emergency, is how we like to say it. So for example, one of these situations that we would use these funds could be if a individual who works here has an individual health plan and then gets married, has a family, and does need to go to a family plan. There's a substantial increase in those types of health plans. So this is where those funds would come in for us. Would it not be something that we could cover with our town appropriation? All right, on page 10, I've provided you with the property repairs and maintenance report. So all told, in fiscal year 21, maintenance expenses totaled $38,294. In this maintenance report, I break down some of the larger and more capital type of maintenance repairs that we've made. These total $34,679. The difference of about $4,000 there is that I did not include things like cleaning supplies, COVID supplies, really the smaller cosmetic items. So that is the difference in the numbers there. But you can see that there's something every month, just about. And so it's really important for us to keep up on those maintenance requests. As I mentioned earlier, our service contracts are key to helping us do this. We have some fantastic vendors who we work with and service companies, and they're really on top of making sure that our building is in tip-top shape. There is always something here that we can take care of. I am never bored in this sense, and there is constantly something that needs attention as far as the building goes, whether it be something small like painting, touch-ups, or something larger of the mechanical nature. Moving on to page 11, I mentioned earlier our fiscal year 22 capital expenses. So in October of 2021, as you all know, you allocated $15,000 for capital funds to the library. The Library Board of Trustees recently voted on the following 3 priorities. So the first is safety barriers. So right now our propane fill well is right next to the drive-through area. There's some concrete curbing there, but other than that, there's nothing protecting this area. And I do think that this is a priority of ours to make sure that there's some type of barrier there. We have had folks drive over that curbing several times. So I am really just hoping that somebody doesn't try and drive over it too early by leaving the drive-through. So we'd like to put some safety barriers there. Also, the propane line into the building on the southeast side of the building, there's no protection around it. And that is also very close to our drive-through area. Another area where we hope to put barriers is right next to the drive-through area as well on the building. As you remember, in one or two past years ago, I mentioned that somebody had sort of clipped the side of the building there. So we're hoping to prevent that in the future. So that is the safety barrier proposal. We also are hoping for some parking lot improvements. As far as I know, the parking lot has never been seal coated or striped, and our directional arrows are very faded right now, which leads to some wrong way driving. So we're hoping to have those taken care of soon. And then last but not least is patio furniture for our west and south terraces. Right now, the west terrace has patio furniture, but the south terrace does not. And especially over the past 2 years, we've really noticed an uptick in folks using those spaces. Oftentimes all tables are filled. And I feel like this is definitely a priority of ours, being able to provide that wonderful outdoor space for those who prefer it. So I am not in construction, as you all know. I could not tell you what the cost of these items would be. So our next step is for me to go out to bid for these items or get some ideas of how expensive or not expensive they could be, and really do more of a fact-finding mission. That was the vote for the trust that the trustees made in early February. And then I will go back to them for a final approval once we have a better idea of the cost of these items. All right, and so now we've arrived at the budget on page 13 and 14. I can certainly go line by line if you'd like, or I can point out some of our priorities here. I will also take any questions at this time if you'd like.
Would the town council like to just review the increase? Does anyone, Deb, I'm sorry, you have your hand up.
I had a question. The positions that you had as vacant, were those because they were not funded or because you could not find people to fill them?
Because we could not find people to fill them, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which it would be safe to say has a good deal to do with salary.
Yes, yes, that is correct. And our personnel subcommittee is being very thoughtful about how to proceed in this area. Currently, the starting salary for a librarian is $40,003. And if you think about that and needing a master's degree for that position, we are really working towards ensuring that our salaries are more competitive with other libraries. A lot of our issues over the past year have been that our staff leave for library positions that are higher paying, and I can't blame them. As much as I want them to stay and as fantastic as our staff members are, it's not something that we are competitive with right now, unfortunately. So that is a future conversation that the board is willing to have and open to having, and we will have that conversation.
And I will make the comment I have made previously. Small state, you can be anywhere within it within an hour. People don't consider an hour commute long anymore. Massachusetts is right next door. That's the competition.
It certainly is. Is a place where the salaries are significantly higher in library positions. So while I may get a lot of applicants from Massachusetts, once we get to the salary discussion, that's usually where the discussion ends.
And that really is too bad, because the programs that are offered are comparable to none others. I talked to family members out of state, and they're amazed at what the library does, and you never cease to amaze me, Catherine, because it changes every year. And the community outreach is just, it's phenomenal. And teaming up with the Cat Cafe and the senior center, and, you know, doing this within our town, it's providing services for people all over the town. So, but I understand, because I'm in the same market, not your market, but trying to find people to work. And the bottom line is they're going to go for where the money is. And unfortunately, right now there's more jobs available and fewer workers interested. So that's always a challenge.
So Catherine, what you're asking for is this 603.
That's correct.
It doesn't reflect that here, though. Oh, all right, I see why. No,
2% increase.
okay. And what does the increase entail?
Yes, so as you see, the subtotal for operating expenses, that percentage has increased a bit. This is general increases in utilities. That's something that, although we need them, it's unavoidable to have increases like that. So those increases are definitely being reflected in our request for town appropriation. We're also seeing a decrease in salary expenses. So because we've had staff turnover, the new staff we're bringing in are being hired at the base rate. So there's a little bit of a balance out there, but not much. The operating expenses are still going to be where we see the biggest increase there. As far as revenue goes, our grant need is going up by almost 3%, but that still doesn't cover all of our operating expenses. You may see some increases like in our technology maintenance and replacement line of like 400%, but that's because we had an offset of ARPA funds this year from our state library office. So we were able to utilize those funds that we would normally allocate for technology and replacement this year in other areas like utilities. And so now looking forward to next year, we'll have to reinstate that to its normal level. Again, our Friends program expenses, those are completely relied upon for donation. So there's really no impact to our budget as far as programs go, because that is a donation amount. So the primary area where we're seeing an increase is going to be in operating expenses. Our service contracts are also essential in maintaining our building, and we're seeing a bit of an increase there, but that is a number that we can't say for sure that will be the number. I do think it may be a little bit higher, which is again where our request for 603,000 is coming in. I already have an HVAC contract renewal in my inbox that was $1,000 higher than last year. So something like that is where we go out for quotes and make sure that we're doing due diligence to not necessarily get the lowest amount, but just make sure that the amount that we are being told we need to pay is incorporated in all of our maintenance needs as well.
I'm surprised that the Friends were able to increase their donation because they lost their big fundraiser, right?
They did. On the plus side there is they've been doing more mini book sales, bake sales, and craft sales. So that has been something that they have really put their foot into the gas on, which we're so grateful for. So they're a fantastic organization, and we're so happy that they're such a wonderful group of volunteers who really, really care so much about the library and the programs that we offer.
Too good.
Any questions from the council? Raise your hand or, okay.
Well, just. Can I?
Yeah, yes. Go
So,
ahead.
so the salary in the budget for 23, that includes those vacant positions? Okay.
It does. We really hope we can hire for those positions. We have to plan as if we do, particularly for the young adult librarian position, which is a full-time position. And that is actually a position required by the state. So that's the one that has a lot of my focus at this time. And just to mention there as well, our retirement costs have gone up a significant amount, and that is mostly due to MERS. Last year, the percentage was 3.11%, and next year it will be 4.21%. So we're really at the mercy of the retirement board there.
Well, Catherine, I want to commend you on the maintenance side. It's been an issue. It's not part of your expertise. They don't teach you library maintenance at school. But you have certainly taken steps to resolve it and get it, fix it, if you will.
Carol or Sanford, would you like to say anything? Add any? Carol?
I will just say that, as I'm sure you all know, Catherine is extremely careful with tracking and spending every dollar that she gets. And of the $12,000 increase we're asking for, over $4,000 is due to increase in heat. And as homeowners, I'm sure you are feeling that pinch.
Yep.
And over $5,000 is due to the MERS retirement. So other than that, there are very few increases. Maintenance contracts, I think, pretty much takes up the remaining 2,000 or 3,000. So I would ask you to respectfully to support our request.
Thank you, Carol. Sandy, do you have anything to add?
Just a couple of notes. Since I'm the treasurer, I get a chance to sign off on a lot of the bills, and I can tell you from what I've seen between Catherine and Karen, who's the administrator, they're very meticulous, and they're very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Precise in terms of what they want to do, and they watch expenses very closely. And I've said this before at a meeting. If I don't want to get too political, but if there were groups in the state or in the country that ran their departments as well as Catherine did, we wouldn't have as many issues as we do financially. I don't have a problem supporting this budget. I've gone through it. I've looked at the expenses, and every time I've asked a question about a certain expense, if Catherine can't answer it, Karen does. I said, do you have this information? No problem. Very well organized. I don't have a problem.
Thank you, Sandy, and thanks, Carol and Sandy, for being on this board. And it is a voluntary board, and I know you do a lot of work. Any other questions from anyone? All right, well, Catherine, as always, a really good presentation. And that's why we don't have a lot of questions.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
See y'all later.
Sanford.
bye, everyone. Have a
Bye-bye.
nice weekend.
Bye, thank you.
See you later.
Right, so unfortunately, Bruce, we're gonna wait another little bit before Joe shows. I'm thinking we can do police salary. And if Joe has any questions,
I have a quick question as we're getting into that.
yeah,
We had asked last time for some additional information on changes in ranks and how that affects the budget, but I don't see that in what we have.
Chief Jones. Patrick, did you hear Mike? There he is.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Did you hear Mike?
I didn't. I just got promoted in, so.
Okay.
So Chief, it was the discussion we had about, showing a one pager about, which positions are being moved to say from sergeant to lieutenant, and then you don't have the lieutenant, and I don't see that back up here. I don't know.
I did supply it to the town administrator. Hold on one second.
And I might be missing it. That's all.
It is exactly what you asked for, so it's like one page. Hold on one second.
Other than the changes in each line item or what the variance was.
That was part of it too. That was separate. Just check here.
I don't know if I did that, chief.
I have fire, but not.
Yeah,
police.
I have a lot for fire.
Lots of fire.
A lot for fire.
Yeah, a lot.
Recreation, fire.
Yes, sir, on the 23rd, if you'll look. What I can do is I can forward it to everybody too. I'll forward it back to the administrator so we can bounce it out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Oh.
While we're waiting, that was a nice piece that Ruth did in this kind of times on
Yeah, she did a really nice job. Going to
behavioral
all the
health.
different police agencies about the mental health stuff. Yeah, she's great.
I missed a page.
Got it, sir?
No, I don't.
I just sent it
Yeah.
again.
Hang on.
Got it.
Trying to send it to everybody else.
Patrick, did you take the grant money out of your budget?
I didn't. I figured
So
that
it
out.
doesn't reflect that?
Correct. I figured that that's what you would do. So I wanted just to give you all the expenses and then, you can make those decisions, but I wanted you to see it.
But the grant money would take care of some of these lieutenants.
It
No.
would take care of the,
It would take care of the 2 probationary officers.
that is correct. It would take care of that 105,938.
So what we would do is that we do the, how we do the offset for the SRO? We would do another offset for the cost grant at $83,333 a year.
83 what, Chris?
333.
Yeah, because that'll come out to 250,000 over 3 years. Right?
Right, but out of this budget, we subtract 83 what?
83, what I said,
333, isn't it?
yeah, that's,
Okay,
yeah, if you multiply 83,333 times 3, comes out to 249,999.
Right.
Can you say that really fast?
I hope you're joking.
So 1/3 of
I
250,000.
don't know what he's doing. All right, so did everyone get what was just sent to us?
Well, let me see if I did.
Yeah, I got it. And if I
Chris?
can share my screen if it helps.
I think
Did you send it to me?
I can send it to you, ma'am.
I'll
Mike.
send it to you, Joan.
All right, thanks.
Mike.
I
would you-
haven't, oh,
Want me to
Mike, would you
share?
sh- Yes, please.
Yeah.
That would be
Mike?
great.
Mike Marcelo or Mike?
No, I will. Let me just move it over to the same screen. So I'm going to share the letter first, and then I have the chief's spreadsheet too.
Mike,
oh, okay. I better went to
Mike.
Gmail, right?
Mike Marcello, I'm not gonna make you work today.
I'm just sitting here. It's all right. It's cold out. Nothing else to do but listen to
I
this.
know.
Agreed, right?
It's funny, we're doing the same thing in Situate, but everyone has a little different style. It's interesting to figure out how you guys do it.
So here's the letter.
Yep.
I haven't received it, so, oh, well.
I received it, but I'd rather it be just there. Cause I'm trying to work off my, I have 3 computers going now. I can't get another one.
Can you make that a little bit bigger, Mike?
Yeah. Denise, you just need to get extra screens. That's all you need. You don't need 3 computers.
All right, Mike, so
You're a comedian.
I'm pretty proud I can do it this way, so let's not challenge me anymore.
So those are all the positions that are in the budget.
Correct. So
What does per CBA mean?
per collective bargaining
The-
agreement. So all of these positions that you see here, with the exception of the ones that I've highlighted in bold, the 1 community policing lieutenant says proposed, the 1 detective proposed, and then the 2 probationary police officers cops grant. Those would be there are added positions or promotions in the budget. Everything else that is in just the normal font are current positions in the contract, and that they are also in the budget as proposed. I know it was brought up the last meeting about the increase in the lieutenant's line item. And as you can see, I broke it down. What I'm proposing is 6 lieutenant positions. We currently have 5. 5 lieutenant positions are under the CBA, so we're kind of locked in for 5. And the breakdown of those 5 are the 3 uniform lieutenants, the 1 detective lieutenant, the 1 planning and training lieutenant, which was in the previous budget a sergeant. So we promoted that position to a lieutenant who's in charge of accreditation. So, and then the newly created, which I'm proposing to you, community policing lieutenant. So that was for the increase.
All right, but that it. Never mind.
Okay.
What I was gonna say is that's a present officer
It is.
that
Correct.
we're going from sergeant to lieutenant.
That's correct.
It's promotional only.
Correct.
Right, so the difference in the increase is just promotional only.
Correct.
Right.
And when we go back to the actual budget, you'll see the breakdown. You'll see other line items, like the lieutenants increased, but you'll see other line items decrease.
Well, I'm looking at it, so the sergeants have decreased, but the lieutenants have gone up significantly.
Correct.
Yep.
And the
You want to
reason
see
for
that?
And the reason for that.
Well, I'm looking at that.
There's
Yeah.
2 reasons for that. We're adding 2 lieutenants, and the last time this budget was in front of you, we didn't have a contract. So this reflects adding 2 lieutenants, the 2.75% increase that you did not see in the last budget for the pay because we didn't have a contract, and an additional 2.75 that under the collective bargaining, the union will get July 1st.
I have a
So-
question now. So this 439 reflects last year?
439,
Increase.
hold on 1 second.
So this is what I'm confused about. It went from 275 to 439.
Correct.
That's just this year it did that.
Yes,
So what you just said about last year, that's going to be in this budget that we're
so that
working in.
275, that was for 4 lieutenants and no pay increase.
Prior to the CBA collective bargaining agreement.
Correct.
Right,
So
but
we,
we're
so we
not
level.
using this money to pay salaries for last
No,
year.
but
Okay.
what
Well, but that-
happens is because that was not appropriated monies for this year, for FY '22. It was in the council contingency. That number represents what was in the police budget. So what you're seeing is an increase because the money wasn't placed in the budget under the right account number. It was under council contingency to deal with.
Yeah, but we can't pay
We're
last
not
year.
paying, it's
not.
it's
Yeah,
showing you
it's just
what
showing it in the actual line item.
Yeah,
It's just showing that it's a bigger increase than it actually, than
right, because
the
it
actual number.
reflects a 2-year increase.
Right, so Chris, do you know offhand what that 275 actually was, if it was in this line item for the current year?
That's what I want to know, Mike. Okay, that's why it appears so higher.
Mhm.
Right,
We can break that out again. I mean, that's,
Because it really isn't. This is what I'm trying to say. It really isn't.
it's not a
that-
200, or it's not 100%
Right.
increase. Yeah.
Right, that's not the real increase.
Because the other money came from the contingency fund
Correct.
because,
Right,
They
so
had-
that should be reflected there, so
Yeah.
that people don't look at this and say, why is it so high?
right,
But can we reflect it there, because it wasn't transferred to that, I don't think.
Yes, it
It
was.
was only allocated from.
Yeah, but yes, we always transfer it there,
I'll talk to the treasurer because I don't think she
which,
does it
which
that
has
way,
to
but-
be a vote from us to transfer that amount of money to that account. She can't just transfer that
Right,
because it's over, it's $2,500.
$2,500, yeah.
So every time we take from the council contingency, it needs to be on the agenda that we're transferring this money over there.
Well, we haven't done a
But it wouldn't
transfer
go
like
into-
that yet.
but it
No.
wouldn't go into the approved budget for 21,
Right.
22.
yes, it
Yeah, you
would.
need an adjusted.
It would show up in the actual.
Yeah,
Right.
but we always, well,
We don't,
this is
we don't go
past.
back and change the
we
budget,
always put what that actual number was.
the actual, not the budget.
You'd have another column, you'd have another column.
We have another column which shows that, like, say we put 100,000 in there, and then that would bring that number to 375.
so the way I understand it from the treasurer, she doesn't actually do it that way. She will take whatever is, if we had vacancies in those accounts, she will eat those vacancies up before she needs to transfer those monies. And that's why it's very difficult to do what you're asking. But we can probably come up with some.
Well, it wouldn't be difficult to figure out what those salaries cost in 2021, 22, actually.
No, we did that when we did the CBA. We have those spreadsheets, but
All right, forget it.
Well, no, I think,
I just
Yeah,
am
we-
looking at this as a budget committee. And the
Right.
budget committee is going to ask you why that was such a big increase. And it
Right.
really isn't that big of an increase.
it's not.
It isn't. So, and just going back, so I pulled out the old budget. So in 2019, 2020, we had 4 lieutenants. And the line item for the approved FTR in budget 2019, 2020 was 264,595. That was for 4 lieutenants. Each lieutenant, the salary for one lieutenant at that time in 2019, 2020 was $66,148. So 66,148 times 4 is 264,595. Then we went and they got an increase, which was the last year of the contract in 2020, 2021, which was 275,268. Divided by 4, their salary was 68,817 for a lieutenant. That was the last year of the IBPO contract before any increases.
Mhm.
So then we had the budget, excuse me, we had the budget in 2020 and 2021, excuse me, 21 to 22, the current budget that we're in now. And that's why you saw that 275, 268 number for 4 lieutenants at a rate of 68,817 per lieutenant. We passed the budget. We passed the contract. We added a lieutenant per the contract, and gave them 2.75 of an increase. That 2.75 brought them to where they are now. Hold on one second.
Oh, that folder.
It's not 73. Hold on one second. So right now, a lieutenant makes 71.92.
So times that by how many did we have this year?
5, and that's per the contract.
So then you times that,
It was 350.
so it's 35960. No.
359.60.
So
And then you get another percentage increase this year, chief?
275 again.
okay, so what you're telling me is, see that 275, that was the approved, but the actual was 350.
Somewhere around, right.
359.60. You see what I'm saying? So
I
that,
do. No, I understand. Because
okay,
it's a
so
two.
when you
so-
look at that, that's not a big percentage, really.
Right,
So it's like an $80,000 increase.
which is
Right,
one
and
lieutenant.
somehow we need to explain that to the budget committee in this budget.
So can I suggest again another one pager or addendum to your one pager explaining that out? I think, to me, that's one of the easiest ways to see it.
I can absolutely do that for you, sir.
That's just a suggestion, but I agree. I mean, you want to be able to compare apples to apples as much as
Right.
possible.
And this is only reflecting in your budget because you were the only contract we passed that year.
Correct.
So
Right.
that's why it's a little bit different for you. But
Correct.
I just want to make it perfectly clear to the citizens in the budget committee that this isn't what it appears to be.
Correct.
And that'll go over better, to be honest with you.
No, and I understand, ma'am. I mean, I'll do
Chief.
whatever I can. I think into, Vice President Burke, when we're in front of the budget committee, it's gonna be like walking them kind of like historically down to start from point.
But I'll
this
be
is-
honest with you, I don't think you're going in front of them.
Okay. Okay,
According to I think the budget committee is reviewing these budget workshops. And I think we're gonna have a joint meeting with the budget committee. And hopefully they'll have everything in front of them because they want their process to be a lot less.
well, as long as you get it, then. I'm good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and John, and I have to
So-
tell you, I'm 100% sure that John will be reviewing these and encouraging his budget members too. Because he just felt it was so redundant to have you come to us and then say the same things to them. So if they watched our presentation, then they might have questions. So you certainly will be there at that joint meeting. They may have more questions, but at least you won't have to go through the whole process again.
Right, thank you.
And it
So
was
Chief, we have
16
worksheets on all these accounts
Yeah.
as how they were presented. So I'm sure we can put something together on how to present
Well,
it.
what Mike is doing, who's doing that right now?
That's
Mike
me.
is,
This
I
is my
think.
copy. This is
So
So
my
just
copy.
walk us through it historically, Chief Jones,
Right,
with paperwork, if you could, like Mike was mentioning.
In a way, it does, if you think about it, it saves them time because they'll see it all. I'll have all of you there at that meeting, and if they have questions for individual ones of you, then they've already looked at this. Hopefully, this is gonna work out this year, because I think it'll help get budget committee members, people to volunteer on the budget committee, if it doesn't take as much time as it has been. All right, so is the lieutenant correct? Yes, that's correct. All right. Oh, Mike just disappeared.
No, I'm here. Don't worry. I'm just saving it before I lose it.
Oh, okay. All right, so we did the lieutenants. And you explained the, Mike, you want to put the letter back up?
So the only,
Can
Go
you see
ahead.
it?
Yeah, no, we're still on lieutenants.
okay,
So we did the community and we know what's going on there. Okay.
right.
So you want to do sergeants, that's all those increases per the CBA?
Correct.
And
And
does
all that, all you're seeing there is 2.75.
So let me ask you this, Chief. Can you help me understand then the decrease?
Because
Here.
we went up to,
One
You
sergeant went up to
moved one
lieutenant.
to a lieutenant.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So there were 7 sergeants?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
no, 6.
There
6, I
will
thought.
be 6.
Oh, there will be 6, I get it.
There were 7.
Right.
Can I ask a question here? Whoever mailed this thing to all of us, could you send it to me again?
Spreadsheet? Or the doc?
What Chief Jones,
The letter,
Hang on,
Letter.
hang on.
I don't know if
Can
you
I-
already sent it or not. I couldn't
Can I
find it,
just-
so.
Can I just ask a question? Just going back to that letter.
Yeah, hang on.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It's easy enough.
The technology is not moving at the same pace as my brain. But the one community policing lieutenant proposed, so that's part of that whole cops grant. So does that mean that that promotion will not happen until after July 1st?
Correct.
Okay, so when do we get that grant money?
Anytime. The grant money is available. It's the match, which you've approved through Opera. But
Correct.
I'd wait until, because the academy doesn't start until August 1st. So what I'm trying to do is get the 2 bodies into the academy before I allocate other resources to start community policing. I mean, and so, and I know, Catherine made her presentation about staffing. Our 4 recruits, they're going to be released and count towards staffing because they've been in field training since December when they graduated, Tuesday. March 1st, they get released on their own, so that'll help us. But I've been notified about 2 other officers who are leaving for 2 different communities and 2 different agencies. So
Oh,
we're
no.
we get 4, and now we're 2 behind. It's, yeah.
2 steps forward, 1 back.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is, knowing that that community policing position is going to still be part of the overall scheme of the department, it's taking an officer off the road. That officer is still going to be available for the road, but it's still, they're going to have different duties and responsibilities. So I'm just trying to do the timing is essential.
It's like playing whack-the-mole, right? It's just,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
what we do.
Never ends.
okay.
All right. so the sergeants are pretty, so the approved budget for the sergeant. Are we gonna run into the same problem we ran
Same
into?
issue for every class of individuals.
Okay. Does that need any explanation? Did we take anything from the council contingency and put in that account? Or will we
I
proceed?
don't think she does that until the end of the year. If
Yeah,
there's-
but what I'm saying, I'm asking the same question I've been asking.
Did we give the permission to do so as needed?
I don't know how she operates.
No, my question is, the sergeant line item,
Mhm.
is there a sergeant line item?
Yes,
Yeah.
Right here.
That's that
Right here.
408. That's highlighted. Yes.
Does that change?
It goes down.
Okay,
Yeah, because
But-
one's going to lieutenant, right?
Right.
Right.
but does that reflect the actual amount of money we spent on sergeants? That's my question. with the raises and everything.
The 448.
Yeah,
That would not be.
okay, that would not, right?
All right.
No,
So that number is actually higher that we actually spent.
Correct. It should be at least 2.75 higher.
And we probably should do the same thing we did with the lieutenants and explain that.
Yeah.
Because that's the approved amount. So if you actually put the actual there, that goes down a lower than it reflects.
It's gonna be like that with everything because it was before the contract.
Right, so just have a little letter explaining the sergeants too. You see what I'm saying?
Yep, we're gonna have to do it every
It's
classification.
gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna be every line, right?
Because it looks, you know,
It looks like a lot more of a variance and it's not. in
it's
reality.
not, right?
right.
And I think to be,
Yeah, I think that to be fair,
well, to be too
Because-
more
because we could-
transparent too.
because we could have approved the budget with like a 2%. We
Right,
would
but
have
we
been,
didn't, but we didn't.
we didn't because we didn't know. We would have been guessing, so.
No, I
We-
think we did the right thing. I just think we
No,
need
I
to
do too.
explain it somehow.
Right, exactly. I agree with you.
Because you're doing the same thing for AFSCME this year. All of, as you can see, as you get down, starting at records senior clerks, that's what they get paid now. So they're in contract talks. That is zero. So
Right.
depending on if you give them a pay raise after you approve this budget for July 1st, that's going to be something you're going to have to add for next year.
Why this is an issue is because usually we put a percentage in there. But we decided to put it all in council contingency.
Right.
And that's why it's more of an issue this year than it's ever been. But I
Mhm.
think we did the right thing by putting it in council contingency. I think we just need to reflect that.
Yeah,
if
I
that's
agree.
okay. Because it looks better if you think about it, Patrick, because we did save more than what it reflects.
You did.
Okay,
So
We just
Pat,
make sure that
the-
the budget committee understands that and the voters understand that.
yeah.
so on the sergeant, I put in reduced by one position to reflect one sergeant promoted to lieutenant. That's for 2022, 23, right?
Right, correct.
2021, 22 does not include contract increases covered by council reserves. 2020, okay,
And it
Never
also
mind.
doesn't include, from the approved FTR budget to this request, it's a 5.5% pay increase.
so 2021 does not include, yeah, so 2021 doesn't include contract increases by council reserves. 22, 23, I already said it removes one position. But that another 22.75%, right? Is that that gets to your 5.25?
That's why you get
Okay.
5.5, yeah.
Yep, okay. And then, I know we haven't gotten to it, but just the same kind of note for detective. 21, 22 does not include contract increases covered by council reserves. There's no other positions, right? So I'm going to take that out.
So we are adding one detective position. We are,
Okay, plus, okay, but you're not adding that until 2022, 23.
correct.
Okay. So 22, 23 adds another position and another 2.75%. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then I just want to try to get these notes accurate. And I can send this back to Chris. 21, so this is for the first class. 21, 22 does not include contract increases covered by the council reserves. No positions.
Not, so a total of 9 positions.
Your one went up to detective.
Right,
So you had 10, correct?
correct.
But was that last year or this year?
So we had 10 in 21, 22.
Okay,
We're moving 1 to detective in 23. So there'll only be 9 in 23. That's why it's,
Correct.
Shit, what happened there?
You do what I do.
I have a question though. That detective isn't, that's something you want this year.
Correct.
That is not contractual.
There's only one that's contractual.
So you're asking for an increase in this budget of another, of,
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
all right, and
Without-
why?
It's,
Why?
it's an
and that-
increase, but all it is we're taking one, it's the difference between a first-class officer and a detective.
Right, but you're asking us to promote
Yep.
a first class to a detective,
Correct,
and
Yeah.
that was not contractual.
correct.
So we don't have to do that.
You do not,
So tell me why you want to do it.
because that was part of the grant. So we could have the community policing lieutenant and also have the mental health detective. That was part of that.
But did we decide we were going to have the mental health detective?
You know what, it's contingent on what you allow me to do. That was part of the plan for the community policing unit.
I'm a little
I'm confused.
can I speak?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I don't even know
Yeah.
how to, I don't think it's good to do contractual things on the fly here. I mean, that's
Why
the
not?
well, it
Oh, yeah,
looks
you
like
kind of are.
you kind of are. And I don't remember, I remember we were going to, in this COPS grant, 2 probationary, which was the 2 that you wanted. And then you were going to have a sergeant go to a lieutenant. I don't recall all of a sudden we have a detective. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do a CBA overdue in the middle of a contract.
Ma'am, there is no CBA overdue. So it was, the 2 positions were for 2 additional positions. So that's why we got the 2 probationary officers to cover for the 2 positions. And because this, just like the lieutenant, we are obligated for 5 lieutenants. 5. The 6th one is at our discretion.
Right.
We are +1, which is why we
Right,
don't
but-
have to put anything in the CBA. And the same thing with the reason why it's a detective position is because I can promote and we can promote a detective at our discretion. We don't have to ask the union. We need to have 1 per the union contract. If we want to make 5 detectives, we can make 5 detectives. We just have to at least have 1. That is
Right.
our discretion.
Right, but Patrick, I think it's very important that that 1 detective is proposed because we already, I don't think the council as a whole decided that detective was necessary. Because you have a community policing lieutenant now, which is new. I don't know if we need 2 people doing that job at this point. I don't know if we can afford that.
Well, that'd be a whole nother conversation. I don't recall, first of all, the way it was proposed was very confusing and we didn't have the right information. And now it's even more confusing that all of a sudden there's a proposed detective. I'm just not liking the way any of this is done personally. I'm not going to speak for anyone. I'm just not liking how this was done. But I just don't like the way it's being done. That's the bottom line for me.
I just think that this is a new program. We should see how it works with the 1 community police lieutenant. And then if it works successfully, and you can come to us with the data on why on why we need your mental health detective and the needs that this community police lieutenant has seen with this program being laid out. I think this detective should be on the next budget after we see how this program is working.
Oh,
That's
So-
just my opinion.
Just
Yeah.
to jump in. My memory is different. I think Patrick was very clear with what he was asking in both in terms of okay, Donna,
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Excuse me. I'm
I'm
sorry.
talking.
I wasn't talking. I'm sorry.
You were. So he was very clear on what his requests were to us, was very clear that the COPS grant only covers the lowest rank, if you will. And his proposal to move a sergeant to a lieutenant for the purpose of community policing, which is not necessarily the same as addressing mental health issues. There is crossover, but it's not necessarily the same. And then promoting one detective up. So if we're looking for the community policing effort to come back with data around how it's addressed mental health and behavioral health calls, I don't think that's the proper expectation for that one position if we don't do both. Again, they're both proposed. I don't think we need to, Patrick, correct?
That's correct.
Do the detective if we decide not to. And that's why it says on both of them proposed.
Mike, I totally agree. What I'm saying is, I totally agree. I see it the way you explained is correct. The community police lieutenant, I don't think is really proposed. This is what I'm saying. I think that was approved with the safety grant. Because we have to do that for the safety grant. I just wanted to point out to everyone that we don't have to do the detective if we don't have to, if we don't want to. I think
So-
that's what I'm trying to say.
So Patrick, again, correct me. We could do what's required in the safety grant without either one of those two promotions by adding the 2 police officers, correct?
Correct.
The other 2 promotions, which are marginal in terms of cost, were intended to get a bigger bang for our buck, if you will, out of the safety grant.
Also to put them under my control.
Yes.
So this way it falls outside union hours, it falls outside current collective bargaining language, that like with the detectives. The reason why it's a detective is the duties and responsibility and the hours and selection per the union contract are at the discretion of the chief of police. If we were to leave it as a patrol officer, seniority. And so I'm trying to find a round peg for the round hole. Is it a 3.5% increase from making a first-class patrol, which is why it's just not a first-class patrol officer? So the reason why it's a detective, because under the current language of the contract, we choose detectives. And then if it doesn't work out, say in 6 months, this doesn't work out, we can revert it back. It's one of those promotions that's not really a promotion. It's a temporary reassignment with a stipend of pay. But the control that I have as the police chief to utilize who I want to put into that position, assign them hours, assign them duties and responsibility is completely at our discretion. If we don't promote it, it's seniority, and we still want to do it, it's seniority. I have to take the person who wants it, who's the most senior.
All right,
That's
well,
why.
Patrick, that cleared it up in my mind. That's
Okay.
what, that cleared it up in my mind.
And I mean,
Yeah.
Madam President, to your point, and I agree with you, my plan is to get this going is community policing is everything that you've been seeing. You know, with Sergeant Leduc going out there, all the public initiatives that we're doing, and we want to do more. Mental health is what we've been seeing. And to be perfectly honest, we're just kind of not addressing the way that we should be. So will the 2 marry together next time with the budget? I'm sure they will marry together. We could be talking about doing something more permanent, but for right now with the detective, we have total control. And the union recognizes that.
That explained it to me better. And Mike, as far as, and I'm not arguing that they're 2 different jobs, but the community policing lieutenant will be out in the community, and he'll probably find some issues that surround mental health and some of the problems or his encounters. Then he'll bring the mental health detective into the picture. Am I right in a way?
You are.
Okay.
All
right, so they are gonna work together.
What I can probably see happening is when we open up the contract, and to Councilor Cook's point, when we do open up the contract later on, I am sure that we can propose language to maintain the control that we currently have under the detective position with another position under community policing. community policing should be all encompassing with mental
Right,
health.
but that's in another 2 years, I think.
But right now, we can't do that because of the CBA.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
This
I
is
get it
just-
now.
this is just
The way you
first
just
step of
explained it to
all.
me. And really, to be open and honest, you want to pick the best person for this job.
I don't want it to fail, ma'am. And that's
Okay.
what it is.
And if we didn't do it this way, it would be the senior officer that would get this position if he wanted it. And you may not particularly agree that that's the best person for the job.
Or if no one wanted it, I'm picking the junior officer.
Perfect. I got it. Okay, sorry, I got it. Any questions from the council about this?
No, I think that we just summarized this whole program that we approved a couple of weeks ago. And it's a first step to hopefully start to address the mental health issues in the community and hopefully develop a bigger, more encompassing program as we go. So I think it's a good first step and it works within the CBA as well as we can. And the chief knows his guys, so.
No,
you know,
Debbie,
he-
you're absolutely right. I just needed it to be refreshed in my mind.
Yep.
That's all I needed.
And how do I put this? Well, the explanation that Chief Jones just gave about the detective is exactly how I remember that conversation going and the reasons for it. The mental health aspect of it and the nuances of it came out a little bit later. But I understand
Exactly.
now.
Quite frankly, I just need to understand everything I'm approving. So that's why I just wanted a rehash of it. I understand it now. And I agree. I'm not arguing.
I didn't think you were
Um,
arguing.
No, but we got a good, it's a more clear
Well,
explanation now.
Well, I was arguing at the beginning because I didn't
Correct.
understand it.
So can I just make sure we have these notes right if I'm going to send them back to Chris?
Yeah.
So I think we're good on detective. 21-22 does not include contract increases by council reserves. 22-23 adds another position, another proposed position. And another 2.75. And then for first class, 21-22 does not include contract increases covered by council reserves. It covers 10 positions. 22-23 recommends moving one position to detective. Plus the 2.75% for the next contract year. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think so.
Then I don't think I touched this one yet. Second class 21-22 does not include contract increases covered by the council. There's no changes there, right? In positions?
Correct.
Okay,
is.
so we'll take, there is?
Not for 21, 22. There is.
Okay, okay.
223.
Yeah, but the raises for 21, 22, is it reflected in that number?
No,
No.
So that needs to be,
it does.
Yeah, so that's why I say 21-22 does not include contract increases covered by council reserves.
okay.
Then 22-23 adds a position.
It's
This
couple
is for
chief, right?
second class.
Second class, there's 4.
So it goes from 2 to 4, correct?
Correct.
Adds 2 positions.
Why is that?
Is there,
Two from the cops grant.
No, that doesn't count.
No, that's
no, there are
probation.
graduates that are there now,
Oh.
graduating.
So it just moves the probationary into their regular positions?
Correct.
So, right, correct. So the 4 recruits that we just sent to the academy that are getting released this week, they'll be second class during this fiscal.
Chief, is one of those positions I'll say poached, the National Guard one or whatever?
2.
2 of them are.
2.
Two of them are.
Right. And also
Poached-
remember, one of
poached is
those
probably
positions,
not bad.
one of those positions are the ones that you approved for our anticipated vacancy that's coming up in very shortly.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
that we went over the one in anticipation of that one going down. And now, as fate would have it, we're going down by 2. So yeah, it all washes out.
So,
never ends.
so for this one, 22, 23, covered by COPS grant, right? And 21, 22 does not include contract increases covered by council reserves. Is that accurate? This is for
Correct.
probation?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
no, plus 1 position or not?
That is for probationary, that's 2 positions.
Plus 2 positions.
Well, no, actually, from the last year, it is,
This is under last year. Were there any new positions last year?
there's always new positions. So the difference
No.
between, so what you're looking at in probationary in 21, 22, 99,344,
Yep.
that's for 2
Yep.
probationary positions before the pay raise. And now for this year, it's an additional 2 positions.
So it's for 21, 22, it needs another 2.75. Those guys actually get promoted up to second class. There'll be 2 more new coming in at 2.75 plus 2.75.
Correct.
So it adds 2 additional
Yeah.
in this year?
No. Because they're
Okay.
going up. Is that
So it's
really
always at
true?
2. It stays at 2.
Yes,
Yes.
it stays at 2.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
So it just covers 2 positions.
yes.
Correct.
I know it's extraordinarily confusing. It's because of,
It is.
it's because of so much movement we have in the police department.
Well, it's not only that, a lot of this happened immediately after a budget was passed.
Sir, it's the perfect storm. You have 2 pay increases,
Right.
including the contractual obligations of promotions, to include the open positions that we've had, and people who take the positions and then get promoted. And I'm not talking about rank promotions. I'm just talking about moving from probationary to second class.
Right.
So, because technically that is a promotion, because it involves pay. So it is a moving target all the time.
So Patrick, how many men are we paying? I'm trying to add this up right now.
So what you're looking at, not including myself, you have 31 contractual employees, union employees. You have 33 total with myself and the deputy chief.
And how many have we had in the past?
32 was the maximum that we've had.
Okay. Okay.
I'm getting a headache.
Don't say too much.
So do we need to put any notes in the school resource officer?
There's no change there, sir. So
Okay.
that the only thing that's reflective there is a 2.75 pay increase from 2021, 2022, and another 2.75 pay increase for 22, 23.
And the 21, 22 was also covered by the council contingency?
That is correct.
Yep. Do we know if I think I know this answer, but I don't remember. So does the school committee have his salary in their budget they're proposing, Chris?
That's my understanding.
Okay, because last year they didn't, remember? And
I
this
ask a
year-
question here. I don't want to muddy the water or anything, but we go through this year after year with the school resource officer. We're required to have them. It's a police contract matter. We try to make the school committee do their funding of it. Now, I realize that the school resource officer is not a part of the contract of the school. However, at the beginning of their contract, they have a laundry list of positions that are expected to be filled. Is there any way to add the SRO to that list?
Well, they would have to do that, and I was president
Because
of
if we did that, it would become contractual and the argument would stop.
Well, I was chairman of the school committee when this was proposed. And it was a verbal agreement that the
Yeah,
school
it's not
committee would
good.
pay. And it
Right.
was never put in the contract because I can't tell you why.
Well,
We
I
can
think it was,
ask them.
Denise, I think it was because if at some point we didn't have the, because it was grant funded, I believe. And if we didn't have the grant funds, then it would go away unless somebody wanted to do something more.
Well, it's no longer a grant. It's
No,
a
but-
police contract.
Right.
Yeah, well, we had to put it in the police contract because it's an officer. At the time, it wasn't.
I'm just curious. I would like to investigate whether we can find a way to make that part of the school's teacher's contract, if you will, where they have a list. Like school nurses, I think, are on that list.
Yeah, but the school nurse is a teacher.
I know, I don't say it couldn't be done. I would just think we should find out and add the SRO to that list so that they understand that it is contractual on their part too.
Well, that would be totally up to the school committee. We can't make them do that.
We can't make them, but maybe we could ask them.
Or have a separate MOU with them.
Yeah, you'd have to have separate agreement, yeah.
Or something
That's
that
what
sort of
most other-
engraves this in stone so we don't go through this year after year.
Well, only last year was the only year it was.
It's been a problem every year. We've always had an argument about this. Deb, am I wrong?
Right, no, it's true, every year. On the council side, but, yeah,
Oh, sorry, Deb, go ahead.
no, I said on the council side, on the budget side, school committee, I mean, yeah, it does, goes round and round.
So can I ask the question going further down?
So all of the other ones going down up until summer recreation patrols, the school patrol Picasset, there is no change. Because that's
Okay.
all the ASME employees who are currently in contract negotiations. with the
Okay.
town.
So what's the change here, though? Why does it go from 538 down to 101?
Because that's no different, sir. If you look up what the treasurer did, I believe, is take all of the 5101. That's the total amount the police department spends for police department salaries, and 5102 is the total amount that we spend for ASME salaries. So she just took them all together and slammed it in one total aggregate number.
Okay. I guess I see that. Okay. Okay.
Any questions regarding this?
Do we want to back out from this line item, the cops grant money?
Well, yeah, we should,
What do you mean you want to back out from, I'm
because that really isn't the total.
It's not what we're paying. Not what
That's
we're,
a full, that's a full, that isn't what we're gonna tax people for.
right.
We're getting it from the grant. So that bottom line has to change.
So you want to take 83,333 out of that?
Yes,
I did, it's at the very end of the spreadsheet.
He did as part of
Oh,
his
okay.
final number.
Okay.
So where we
And the
took the school
SRO.
resource, where we take the money from the school resource officer, there's a line item there. And there'll be one more that I didn't get to before I prepared this, and that'll be for the SAFER grant, should that get approved.
Okay,
oh, all right.
Oh, right here.
Yep, at the very end, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So
so
you're
say-
gonna.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
said
that's an
SRO.
older, that's an older, that. the
Oh,
spread-
okay. I'm using. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
using what Patrick just sent.
Yep, no, he does, because he only does his end of the budget.
need
Yeah.
you back.
So I'm gonna
Chris,
take
you-
these over.
You took the
Oh, I
cops
see it
grant
on the
out,
new
you
one.
took the SRO out. Did you just say the SAFER grant got approved?
No, I
No.
said, should it get?
Oh, it might. Okay,
It better.
Well, there's no guarantee of that, Denise. I don't know. I'm not
yeah,
I
clairvoyant.
know. We have to do it anyway. I'm just saying for the sake of our budget, it better.
yeah. But you'll take it out if and when that occurs.
No, I'm gonna put it in the budget as if it's a revenue stream. If it doesn't come in, we're gonna be short that money.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean.
That didn't line up.
Give it up, Mike.
If you just said that to me the way you have it, I'll make sure it gets worked out.
Okay, all right, I'll send you
We'll
what I
create a
was.
separate sheet altogether to show you from beginning to end, from year to year.
All right, I'll do that. But down here is where you're saying you have the.
Right.
So
If
this
you
is the main
go on the
budget.
other spreadsheet that I sent, you'll see where that 60,
Yeah.
actually, it's right there. Yep.
Right there.
Yeah, this is your main spreadsheet.
Right.
Mhm.
So there'll be one more line item for the safer grant. That'll be a reduction as well.
Thank you.
We hope.
Well, we're putting it in there.
I see no reason why it won't.
Oh, my fingers are crossed.
You never know, Jay.
Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
personally,
hey,
I
Joe,
believe, but-
I just saw Joe there. Hi, Joe.
Oh, good.
Right on time, Joe. All right, are we all set?
Yeah, I'm just here listening.
All right. Are we all set with this now?
I hope so.
Me too.
Patrick, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, thank you for coming back with what we asked. All right,
You want Bruce?
yeah, fire department. Like, I think you can get rid of this. I don't know. Does everyone want the spreadsheet up? It's up to you guys. Okay.
I've got it in front of me.
I've got it.
Okay. If you want it, just let me know.
I'm just jealous you can do that. I don't want you to show off.
Rub it in.
I have to do it too often.
I was glad to see you having trouble trying to line things up like I always do have problems with.
Well, it's because the columns were different and I didn't realize it.
Hi, Bruce, are you here?
Good
Okay.
morning, everybody. Yes, I am.
Hey,
Thanks
Bruce.
for waiting. Thanks for being patient. All right. Do you want to go through it, Bruce? We'll look at
I'm all set.
salary. We'll look at salaries.
You want to do payroll side first?
Yeah, that's the first that comes up when we're looking at it.
Okay, yep.
What's this, oh. All right, so. Does this reflect the current salary increase?
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
No, neither way.
Oh,
Are we
We're
gonna do,
negotiating now.
right. So why is there an increase? Like, okay, so look at captains, 268, 692 to 270. Why is there a $1,300 increase?
they got a raise in January. I believe it was a 1%.
Perfect, that's what I'm asking.
Percent.
Okay, okay. All right. And any increase that we do during negotiations is in the council contingency.
Right.
So the first class went up and the second class went down because a second class became a first class.
Correct, yep. Yep.
Okay. Probationary. We didn't approve any last year.
There was no probationary positions last year. Excuse me.
So how many
It's
positions?
happening,
Why is that
How
number
many-
so big?
because they were all full at the time of the budget. They-
How
they
many
were at
positions
first-
does? How many positions does that estimate?
So,
This proposal would be 32.
so we.
No, I mean,
it would
just
be
for
28
probationary.
It would be 28 for 2021, 21, 22.
Just for probationary.
There was none because they were all promoted.
I understand
either
that.
Third,
What, how many positions does three hundred and
four,
seventeen
that's four
thousand?
for the,
Okay,
It's the four we just hired, correct?
so let me clarify that
That
number
note.
though. That number is what, we took the SAFER grant divided by 3. So that's everything for salaries and benefits. That would have to get redistributed to all the benefit accounts as well. But we wanted to put a number in there, it'll be offset at the back, be the same number. Because it's 100% funded for the lowest probationary salary and benefits. But ultimately, it will get broken out by account. We didn't want to start spreading all over the budget until this grant actually gets approved.
Right, yeah, that's not just salary.
So the salary for a probationary was, I forgot what we put in the grant, it was 40. We have a whole spreadsheet on what we did for the grant,
Like 46,000 or something?
something like that, yeah.
46,675, I forget.
So this number doesn't reflect just salary.
No, it's everything for all salaries and benefits for a probation, for the 4 probationary staff.
So keeping our fingers crossed, that number will be put under revenue later.
It will be. I am gonna put it, I just haven't got to it yet.
But, well, we
Well,
haven't
yeah,
done the
it's,
SAFER grant yet.
if the grant doesn't pass, then we're gonna have to think about how we're gonna deal with this.
Well, I don't think there's
Wow.
any thinking about it. We're required by
Yeah.
law to do this, correct?
Yeah, but do you do it with staff? Can you do it with overtime? There's a number of different
Oh,
ways to do it.
okay. All right, I get you.
So the 317,800, if the grant isn't approved, will become, oh my God, overtime.
Correct.
well, not all of it, because it's only 186,700 based on your position salary that you just said, Jay. That's in salaries. The rest is in benefits.
Right, so
You
we
know.
wouldn't be paying benefits with
Oh,
overtime.
that's true.
Good point, Mike.
Which is why I think it's important, and I know why you're saying that, Chris, but I think it's important to try to break that out. So it's more visible that, you know, our salary is only 186 and change, and then the rest goes to the benefits.
You just
Okay.
do that with an explanation sheet on the side.
Yeah, yeah,
Rather than playing around with the numbers time after time,
yeah,
like we just did with Chief Jones.
yeah.
Sort of.
No, that's good.
When are we hearing about the SAFER grant? Do we know?
Sometime in April, towards the end of April, I believe.
So this will be, this will be
Yeah.
something that will be very clear once,
Yep.
once people vote for this.
Yeah, okay.
But like Chris said, or Mike, we will have to make some decisions if we don't get the SAFER grant. On where we put this money.
Yeah.
All right. Any other? All right, so overtime. Why did you bring overtime up so much, Bruce?
Historically, we're short when we do the 150.
But isn't there something in the agreement that says once it goes over 150, with to be notified, blah, 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 blah?
Were to be notified.
Isn't there an amount that you spend per month? If you go over that,
Yep.
Then you have-
Whatever we spend per month is given to you in the monthly overtime report, along with my overtime monthly run report for the council meeting.
but during contract hearings, and during contracts a few years ago,
Yes,
Justin Katz put some kind of caveat on that. Am I right, Donna?
yes, it's supposed to go down to 6 men. We don't have to maintain the 7.
Oh, that's right. So if that.
You go
overtime-
over, yeah.
if that
And I don't think
overtime-
it's being done.
It isn't. I don't think.
Well,
It,
I'm not the chief, but the reports kind of look to me like it isn't being done, but
Bruce, did you know about that?
about that thing in the contract,
Yeah, that we have to go down to 6 men if it goes above a certain amount,
I do know about that, yes.
but we're not doing that, correct?
So
We
we're
are
not
not
doing it for a
covered.
number of reasons.
well,
Number one, what you're seeing on these reports are not reflective of the reimbursements of FEMA monies and or the CARES monies. So there is no $2,000 a week right now when you factor in those reimbursements.
Oh, all right. So I know your overtime, okay, so your overtime is high in the last 2 years, but of course that we were in the middle of a pandemic. So that would account for some of that, wouldn't it? Your ambulance runs were higher, there was more things needed, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, we have such a young department right now, with FMLAs, you know, vacancies, people leaving to go to other departments, or just leaving in general, but usually it's when they leave here, they go to another fire department. It's so hard that we can't have, because we're riding the line on personnel right now, we don't have the extra personnel to fill in when somebody leaves. Right, you know, right away, right off the bat. So we need the overtime to fill in the vacancies.
Does anyone have in front of them the current actuals in this account?
Yeah, I do.
I knew you would, Jay.
Well, I did have it.
I mean,
And
I
can
have one, but it's from a while ago.
So
I have the one for the third. Oh, here we go. Fire department.
then
What do you want?
if we're paying for some of this overtime through some of the COVID funding, we're not taxing people on it. Can we pull that out of
Yeah,
this?
because what I'm thinking is, Deb, I'm looking at what we gave them in 2021, 188.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we should just bring the 22-23 number to that 188.
These right now, we have $18,386 in the overtime account.
Say that
As of
again.
That's pretty bad.
Can
Oh,
you
wait a
say that
minute.
again?
Doesn't reflect the $75,000 in reimbursements or the CARES or the FEMA reimbursements.
All right, so add 75 to that then. Jay.
That's about 95,000, just under
Right.
95,000.
Yeah.
And when was that report generated?
That was 31st of December, and I'm looking for the January one.
Yeah, we have a
Hang on.
January, but I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah,
So
I
I believe
had
you
it. I
should
don't know
have,
what I did with it.
I believe you should have a current balance sheet as of just a couple days ago. If
Yeah,
not,
it's gonna be on the council agenda. I don't have that in front of me. I don't have the packet with me right now. If anyone has that packet, you have Denise's account. I think it goes all the way to February now, or January at least.
Hang
Let
on.
me let me see if I can find it.
I'll have it here in 2 seconds. The fire department overtime. Right now, we have. Holy crap. How did that change?
He
Now, this
probably-
says
She probably did
66,000.
put in the FEMA reimbursements.
Yeah, because it's
Okay,
FEMA
that's what she did.
reimbursement on
Yeah,
there.
she put in 48 grand. So we now have $66,831 rounded off in that account.
But you
Yep.
only put 48,000 in and you said it was
He
75.
put in
So
48 and
There are
change.
two different streams of money. One is
Okay.
FEMA and one is CARES.
Right.
Okay,
So she put in one of them.
so which, so if you add 27 to that, because that's the difference between 48 and 75,
Yeah,
then we'll actually have in there 93. And that's as of when, Jay? When did-
January 31st.
So we
The
still have
latest, the
February,
latest report.
February, March, April, May.
Well,
June.
February is basically gone, so
Yeah, but you haven't accounted for it.
We haven't
Right.
accounted for it.
no, we
So
haven't.
February, March, April, May, June. So that's 5 more months.
So
So in-
you
in
were,
the
you were
packet
on the
that I-
right target when you were saying to go to the 188 based on the prior year, because we have a ton of overtime this year that are related strictly to COVID.
Right. So if we
that
go to
you're not-
188,
Hopefully, we don't ever see again. And, but there also will be no reimbursements again.
right.
So,
So-
but
well,
the
I mean,
issue is, instead of 188, don't forget that was at 28 men. You're gonna have 32 men now. You are gonna have more overtime.
we should have less because no,
No,
that
because you're
doesn't-
covering
no.
the same amount of hours with more men. It's gonna create more overtime.
Okay, so now I'm gonna ask another question. We paid overtime naturally to them every. Bruce,
It's
So-
built in.
there's built-in overtime in this old contract. Because when they did that extra day, they got overtime, correct?
So that'll go away.
That'll go away. So that's what I'm saying. That
So
overtime will
that's
go
the
away.
that's the audit time when they get over a certain amount based on
Right.
FSLA. That is
Right.
a nominal amount of overtime. I mean, it is negligible. It is,
For sure.
it's really, it's not a lot of money.
It's like 20,000 a year, isn't it?
I don't think it was
30,000 a-
anywhere near that.
All right, it's just my memory.
You have a roundabout number. What the-
So, if we round out,
I can get that number for you pretty quick.
so if we
How much we
round
paid
out,
in that.
if we round out your overtime, I mean, I'm reading this number, it's kind of crazy, 188,965. So if we give 190 instead of 225, is that what you're saying? I'm on the right page, Chris, to bring that to like 190?
Well, I don't think adding 4 people is gonna make that, I don't think it,
All right,
I-
whatever. Overtime is a
so-
huge issue.
it
So
is.
Chris, what were you gonna say?
So we did it 188 with 28 staff, adding 4 more, it's that much more time that those guys are gonna be out, they're gonna be sick, they're gonna be on FMLA, it's the same issue. You're covering the same amount of hours with 4 more bodies that are gonna, it will create more overtime because you have that many more bodies to deal with. But it's not, our overtime's been through the roof because of all the clinics, the other things we've been doing. Which hopefully we don't have to do it anymore, but it's not because you still have a 7-man minimum. And I don't believe that, that overtime number is gonna go down. And I don't think adding 2,000 to it is gonna be significant to cover the 4 people.
Well, we're not adding 2,000 because our
If you went
original
from
number.
188 to 190, it would.
No, because last year we had 150.
Yeah.
So we're giving them 40,000 more.
I don't think we were ever gonna attain the 150. But, we're lucky that we had some reimbursements. I just don't see that as being viable. I don't.
Denise,
Yes,
hello. I think that the 150 was a number that was used with the 3 platoons. That you could do that, but as you went to the 4 platoons with the 48 hours, it went up. When you add more people and you don't get the SAFER grant, it's going to go very high.
all right.
So I will say, Council Cook, I do agree with you. The 150, when we went to the 3 platoons, we had a 7-man minimum with a 9-man shift. So we had the 2 extra personnel on each shift.
Right.
to help defray the cost of vacancy, of overtime created because of vacancies, whether it be vacation, sick time, or, whatever the vacancies were. We had the 2 extra personnel per shift to fill in those vacancies.
Right.
So Bruce, we still,
Yes,
as of right now, we still have 7-man minimum. And
We
if we go to increase the numbers, what will every shift have on it? Will they still have the 9?
No, it's
No.
never been 9. It's been 8.
so
Okay, so will they have 8? That's what I'm asking.
Yep.
Will they have more? Because we have more
So
men.
when
Oh,
they
I
do
get
the
it.
debit day, it's the 7 guys, but they're doing a debit day, so that creates the 8, even though you're doing it with 28 guys. When you get rid of the debit day and you go to 8, it's actually 30, it's actually 32 guys. Because 4 shifts at 8 is 32.
All right.
right. It's just being filled, like the administrator just said, it's being filled with 28 guys, but it's really 32 positions, if you will.
Yep,
One
I
more-
get it.
One more question. The debit day, is that at overtime?
No, currently
It
it's not. It's currently
isn't.
paid at straight time,
Okay, thank you.
which is what causes the audit overtime, because they get to, I forget what the number is of the maximum amount of hours that they can work before there's a mandatory overtime.
It's
And so
212.
I just looked through November, it was $230 that was required between July 1st and November. I don't know, I don't have a more current schedule in
Okay.
front of me, but it's a nominal amount.
So,
Right.
it's just under $290 for the year that we've paid in that extra FLSA, the built-in overtime that you were talking about.
But once you go to 42 hours, you will never get near that audit time. It's just, it won't happen. Because
Okay.
they have to be paid overtime after 42 hours.
Right,
Okay,
which is why we want 4 extras to try to eliminate or mitigate that.
So it would be my desire, what I think this department needs is the 4 safer positions. Hopefully we get them. I'm keeping everything I have crossed, and the 4 additional personnel that I'm asking for in this budget. That would bring each shift up to 9, and that would help defray
yeah,
the overtime cost.
that's what I'm getting at. So you asked,
Exactly.
you're bringing 8 men into this now.
No, he's only bringing 4 into it. What he's saying is he would like to ask for 8. He'd like to
But-
have a 9-man shift.
Right,
But
but
this
does
budget
that,
only reflects 32 men. It doesn't
Okay,
reflect
thank you.
36.
thank you, that's what I want to know.
Okay.
Okay.
And that, because that's what it used to be. It was 9 years ago when it was 56 hours? And the overtime wasn't as big of an issue back then. So we still think overtime is going to be an issue even with 32 men.
I agree.
Now,
Well,
the-
can I don't know if this will sort of put things in perspective or not. The end of December, our year-to-date for overtime was 131, almost $132,000. That's with 50, what was it, 49% or whatever the year expended. Right now, what they did was injected 48,000 and change from one of the other pots, which brought it down to 83,000. And we're now at 58% of the year expended.
right, Jay, so what you were talking about before reflects COVID and the COVID
Yes.
costs, and that's why we.
Yeah, and there's going to be according to Chris, there's going to be another, I don't know, smaller injection.
27.
Yeah, all right, half of that. So really how do I put this? You can't look at the current overtime expenditures, which have been artificially deflated. Is that pretty accurate?
So, yeah, overtime has been through the roof because we have been paying overtime for a lot of the clinics that we've held and
Yeah.
the distributions that we've done. But the money has been set aside to deal with all those things, and that's why we've been doing. We've been trying to provide the service to the community.
All right. Any more questions about overtime? The
I have a
paid help.
question.
Okay,
Can
go
I just
ahead.
ask a quick question?
Of
Not
course.
necessarily related, but on the breakdown sheet, just
Yep.
trying to make sure I'm understanding this right. The breakdown sheet for total fire department personnel salaries, the requested amount is 2.050 million plus. There's a bullet that says currently we have a total of 28 firefighters and officers. And then it lists below it each category of staff and positions. That adds up to 32. So that's the 32 you're talking about, but I'm just trying to jive. So of that 28, you're not counting the 4 captains in that first bullet, second bullet?
Yeah, that they're counted.
So it says currently we have a total of 28 firefighters and officers. So to me, that's a total of 28. But when it's listed in the third bullet, there's 32 positions.
That's for the request. That's what's, we currently have 28 positions.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
that answers it. Thanks.
No, under the current 28, there are 4 captains. And I forgot how many lieutenants there are.
8.
Yeah, there's 4,
Yeah,
8, 14, and 2.
Right. And so what will change is the command staff will stay the same. It will just be adding firefighters after. They'll start as probationary, but they will
Yep.
ultimately be first-class firefighters.
Yep, well, that answers it. Thanks.
Now, in the holiday pay,
So
Does
based
that-
on adding 4 bodies to it, we need to add more holiday pay. We need to add,
so it reflects those 4 bodies right now, the increase?
yes,
It does.
Okay.
There's a few line items that reflect the 4.
so that would be your EMS incentives, your clothing allowances, your, I think what the other thing was.
That's it in the payroll side.
That's
There's
it, right,
there's
that's
some
it,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
operating side.
So the total is there, but it doesn't reflect the money we're getting from the Safer Grant.
So the Safer Grant does, yeah, I didn't put that 317 at the back, but that will be at the back
Yeah,
where it's an
okay.
offset.
Okay,
So, and that's why the percentage increase also looks like it's too high. I think it's over 4.15. Once that 317 is added back, it'll drop that percentage down below 4%.
any other questions? So clothing allowance, in-service training, that all reflects the increase.
Yep.
On the operating side, yeah. That's correct.
Any questions from the council on the general contract mandated expenses?
Contract.
All right,
So we switched over to the operating accounts, correct?
I'm at general contract mandated expenses. Clothing, in-service, employee assistant, uniform, animal shelter.
That's.
No,
police-
wait a minute, I'm sorry,
That's
guys,
police
I'm
budget.
looking, yeah, I know.
Okay.
I just realized what I did.
It must be in police.
I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, I am. I was wondering why we
You're
were
really
paying.
confusing me now.
Yeah, I was wondering why we were paying animal shelter to you, Bruce.
I don't need that.
No,
Thank you.
well, some days you might.
Well, they might get a fire dog.
Yeah, yeah, Bruce, I know what you're talking about now, operational expenses. Any questions? It looks like everything's pretty even, and then we go to, oh, wait a minute. Firefighter training, but that's because of the new men we're bringing on.
That's correct.
Okay,
And the clothing allowance goes up because of that,
yeah,
and the fact that stuff's getting more expensive.
And
telephone went up a little.
So I don't want to be remiss by going by salaries without mentioning this. The chief did put in for a deputy, and I think he should have an opportunity to explain it. He also understands fully that you may or may not, it's at your prerogative as to where that goes. But I
Yeah,
do
but the
think
deputy-
he should have
the
an
dep-
opportunity to explain his rationale.
But the deputy isn't in this budget.
It is, he's
It
asked
is.
for it.
Where is it?
78,000, 270,
It's-
271 deputy. chief.
Yeah,
the last
so
line
it's just
item in
above
the,
clothing allowance.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, I didn't want you to go by it without it.
Yeah, because we didn't,
No, but I do, I would never stop the chief from asking for something he thinks is appropriate.
Right.
It's, it's, at the end of the day, the council is gonna make its decision. He understands that. But I do think he needs to have an opportunity to at least address it.
thank you,
go ahead,
Chris.
Bruce.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
I think we did address this at some point, though, didn't we? We've talked about this.
Not
I
during this
asked for,
season.
I asked for this position last year. I think
Alright.
that's the last time that we've discussed this. But so this department, my department, the fire department certainly needs another, at least one daytime position. The responsibility of this position, of my position, cannot be, I can't do it with just myself. I can't do 70, 80, 90 hours a week anymore. I can't do it. And I want to run this department the best I can. I just can't do it alone. I cannot do it alone. The deputy chief position would help me run, would help run the daily operations. The position would be responsible for the training. I sent the backup. This is a pretty good description of exactly what the position would be responsible for and what it would entail. It would give me, if I had a deputy, if I had a deputy position, I would be able to work more on the administration part, i.e. looking for grants, things like of that nature. I would have somebody to bounce things off of, that would be, operationally, etc. I mean, like I said, the backup explains exactly what it would be. If you have any questions, I can certainly
So
ask.
just to somewhat bolster his argument, I fully understand that the council has grave concerns over expending, increasing any kind of budget, but the chief is responsible currently for 28 men, will be for 32. And, with the fire marshal's office being, they have a ton of work that they're covering there. He has no other resource but himself to deal with all these aspects and do all the EMA stuff. And if you consider what's happened over the past 2 years, his EMA role has been exponentially taking a lot of his time. So it does leave some void for, training, incident management issues, acquisitions, just safety issues. And there's probably going to be a need at some point to help augment that fire marshal's office. It is just, they're buried with a lot of projects that are coming their way. So I'm not, trying to, speak for the chief, but it's at the end, after this, he'll be working with 32 people too. So, and believe it or not, dealing with all these personnel, it's a pretty daunting issue to deal with what he's going through. he does put in an extraordinary amount of time. And I'm not saying it would be any different for anybody else. I think the chief does an excellent job on dealing with all the aspects of his department. But it is somewhat lost in the fact that it's, you know, there's a lot that goes on in that department, and he's the only one that's there to be able to handle it. I will say I work hand in hand with him as often as I can, and I know that, you know, it's difficult at times to deal with some of the managerial issues within that department. I'm only asking you to consider what he's putting in writing. It is a difficult position to be in. So that's with that, you know, unless Bruce has something else to add to it, it's a pretty daunting department to handle.
I will say for the last 2 years, I could have done full-time just EMA stuff, just EMA related stuff. I could have been full-time. There's so much that I will say there's so much that I have done, but there's so much that I haven't done because I mean, if you can figure out how to put 48 hours in a day, I could probably do a little better job, but it's you know, one example, talking with the clerk, everybody on the council should be NIMS certified, take some classes and stuff like that. That's something that falls on my office to help promote and get you guys all up with. It's the National Incident Management System. By right, you guys as councilors should be all trained in that. That's something that's on my list of things to do, is to get something out to you. I just haven't. I haven't yet, obviously. I apologize, but I just have not had the time to do it. And that's just one minute example of what's not being done.
So we could move on to the, you know, the operational side.
I did have a
I
question to say.
don't think any of us want to belabor the issue. I do respect the chief's opinion, and I believe he had every right to ask for it.
Chris,
Doesn't necessarily mean
But
that you
wait.
guys are gonna have to do it.
Chris, I don't know if Denise stepped away, so Donna, go ahead.
I'm not saying one way or the other how I feel about this. It's just that a deputy chief, rotator firefighters, and chief's con ed development would be, in my opinion, a part of the collective bargaining agreement, which they're in contract talks now. So I just don't think it's appropriate personally, but once again, not one way or the other, but these are negotiable items. So
So
anyway.
2 of those items will come out of there, Donna, just to be clear, that the chief's con ed development and the rotator firefighters, they were also last year requests, and I just think it was an oversight that we didn't take them out of this particular budget request.
But
Because
we
they
weren't,
are empty, there's nothing in them, so.
yeah, well, we weren't in contract talks last year though, with the fire department at the
Okay.
time.
That's no problem.
Can I just
have-
clarify the?
Okay, I'm sorry, Joe, I don't mean to interrupt. I have to leave.
That was
the
a joke.
meeting.
That was the chief trying to clarify something. for
Oh,
you,
I'm
Donna.
sorry, chief. I'm sorry. I have to go. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete, did you want to say something before I go to Joe?
I was just going to clarify that the position, the deputy chief's position is not part of the, I'm looking for it to not to be part of the CBAs, the union. So it's negotiations doesn't really come into play.
Like the fire department.
Being
the
in
police
negotiations,
department.
I should say.
Thank you. Joe, and then I'll go to the other two.
Yeah, Chief, question I have.
Sure.
I noticed there's like 6 lieutenants, 4 captains. Back in the day, usually the officers were in charge of training. We also had certain people, certain officers that were designated for maintenance of equipment, things like that. You still do that with these officers, or are they just in charge of their particular shift and that's it? Nothing, they don't have to do any training on shift training or anything like that?
No, they certainly do. So the captains are responsible for their shift, for each shift. There's 4 captains, 1 per shift. They are responsible for the day-to-day operations of their shift. I do have all 4 captains have additional administration roles. Some of those things, like training.
I understand they go out the window
Department-wide
sometimes.
training, you need, the department has to be trained the same way. All 4 shifts have to be trained the same way. I mean, there might be a little bit of nuance from A platoon to B platoon, but basically it's to have one person in charge of that is the best, most effective and safest way, frankly, for the staff. As of right now, I have to have a captain's meeting. You know, in the captain's meeting, we go over, we started going over the SOP, standard operating procedures, to try to revamp those, that, the deputy could do that, trainings for the month, just all that stuff. I have to have a special meeting with the captains to be able to do this administration, just to even touch on the administrative part of it. So
Yeah, and I know a lot of times too, that goes out the window when you get emergency calls. You can't really focus on doing the things you want to get done in that particular day. But I just want, because I know back in the day, like we had somebody who was in charge of maintenance of vehicles. That officer just took care of maintenance of vehicles all the time. You didn't have to worry about that part of the agreement. So I just wondered if those things have changed, or if you still have that in place.
Yeah, we do. I do have that in place. Like I said, each captain has some administrative roles and functions. But they're here with the way they work their shifts. There's nothing consistent, and no fault of their own. And that's just their shift, the way they work, and it's that's not even including the call, the call volume. We're averaging 10 calls a day, and that the officer, the captain, is obviously involved in that. And
then you get
Thank you.
officers that are on vacation that day or whatever, that affects things too. I understand. All right, thank you, Bruce.
Certainly, thank you.
Jay?
Well, I have a question, a suggestion. So we have a new salary account on here, which is fire chief salary, EMA director portion, which is $10,000, and that's new.
Well, let me clear that up, Jay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is that?
So last year, if you look, it's the same account number, it's 5,100.
Mhm.
The reason why that's done that way is because Bruce can apply for EMA grants that will help offset his salary. And if it's not budgeted as an EMA salary, it doesn't qualify. So that's why we carved this. That is his salary. It's both items together. It's $88,150. Not
Okay,
counting
well,
whatever we're going to do next.
And then that does away with my suggestion,
Yep.
which was going to be, could we use that $10,000 to help defray the cost of the deputy chief if we chose to go there? And the answer is
That's
no.
actually the chief.
You
Sorry.
can actually
I didn't want to.
$10,000.
I didn't want to give you a decrease in pay, Bruce.
You can absolutely use that 10,000 to help defray the cost of a deputy if you put the 10,000 back in my salary.
Okay. No, I was just curious. Well, okay, so that won't work, so forget it.
Anything else, Jay?
No, that's it.
All right, Deb?
I just wanted to say that to expect one of our salaried employees to be working 80 hours a week is just crazy. And with all of the new things that have been added, something gets lost. So I would really look at wanting to support a deputy position. The chief does a great job, but he's one person.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that line item about the deputy chief?
Mike, I'd just like to make a general discussion.
Oh, you're back.
though.
Okay.
Oh, I've always been here. I just
Oh,
let you
okay.
do it.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I just let you do it. I think that in my mind, I have to wait to see what the total percentage is at the end of the budget talks before I would ever contemplate adding new positions.
Mhm.
And then once we get that number, then we can see what we want to do. So that's just the thought. I always wait for the final number and then go from there.
I do believe the chief is very appreciative of the fact that you're even considering it. So it goes a long way. I know he brought it up last year and and I'm sure he'll bring it up again next year.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But the fact that the council's even considering and understanding the rationale for it, and I think him being able to try to explain it and put it in writing is helpful. But at the end of the day, I think he fully understands your need to balance the budget and according to what the people are going to be able to afford to pay and against all other services. So he's very, very cognizant about that, but he is also very wanting, but I think he fully understands where you're at. So I would suggest we go on to the operating.
Yep, let's go.
So Chief, you've got a couple of things in here, right?
Couple increases, you mean?
Yeah, on the operating side.
Yeah, it's like I pointed out, a lot of it has to do with hiring the 4 men,
Yeah,
I think.
I think some of it does.
Absolutely. But the big increases absolutely are because of the 4 guys, the 4 new.
And that, like the fighters training went up quite a bit, but that's because of the new guys.
Correct. We can go line by line, or if you guys, if anybody has any questions about specific line items, either whatever works for you guys.
What is hazardous equipment and why is there nothing ever?
So that's a line item that got taken out of the budget, I believe, 2
Okay.
years ago. We used to, with that line item, we used to get like speedy dry foam, firefighting foam. That stuff has just been put into minor equipment.
Yeah. The minor equipment replacement, that went up 1,500.
1,500.
The reason? I'm just curious.
Everything these days are just, the prices of everything's going up.
Mhm.
If everything was staying status quo price wise, I probably wouldn't have increased that. That's
Right.
just to keep up with the times.
That's fair. And I imagine medical supplies went up. Well, I'd imagine you spent a lot more on medical supplies this year than currently.
We have,
Then
we
you
have,
had to have.
and the pricing on that is,
Oh, I know.
it's crazy, absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
And availability.
Personnel
All of the
and
above,
personnel and protective gear, that has to do with the new men.
it does.
So I want to be clear, it's not only the new men though, the chief has to replace things as they become out of date.
Mhm.
He did a survey this past year and looked at all the protective equipment, the turnout gear these guys have. So originally, before the 4 guys, we were looking at replacing because they have to be replaced. They're out of date.
Are we
So,
talking about the
no, this is just their turnout gear.
Personally-
like I don't think it's the Scott Apex, is it? It's
It
just
is
the-
not, it's just their turnout.
The
just
helmets, the
pants, right,
jackets, the gloves, the
right.
Okay,
pants.
So the reason why it's such a significant jump from last year is because of the 4 additional
Right.
firefighters. I did originally increase it some off higher than the 18,000 because we do need to replace, like the administrator was just saying, our gear is good for 10 years. After 10 years, it's out, it's not, they say the only way to test whether it's good or not is to test it and destroy it, which kind of defeat, So the gear is good for 10 years and it's a rotational thing. We just got to replace some. Plus the increase, again, like we were just talking about with the minor equipment and the medical supplies, it's approximately from last year, it's approximately 20% higher for a set of gear this year than it is last year, than it was last year.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Fuel, island tires, that's obvious. We all pay for fuel.
Yeah, fuel started site, fuel and
Apparatus.
tires both.
All right. Any questions, councilors?
No, I'll just make a comment. I do not doubt, actually, I can guarantee that the heat and the fuel, oil and tires are going to go up significantly more than this is asking.
Oh, we'll just hope the council contingency can handle it or other accounts come in low.
It's going to have to. This is just this department. It's going to be across the town.
All right, I think we've come to the end of the fire department. Any questions?
No, and Stu's here as well. too.
Yeah, so thank you, Bruce, for spending the weekend with us.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bruce.
for all the considerations. If anybody has any questions, my door is always open. Please don't hesitate to, if I can clarify something for you, please don't hesitate to get in touch.
Thanks,
Bruce.
Bruce.
Bruce, thanks,
I'll bring your
Bruce.
book back tomorrow.
All right, very good. Take care, everybody.
See you, Bruce.
Next is Stu.
Trying to get him in. Yep, he's coming. Yeah, hang on a minute.
If I shut off, guys, I'm having trouble. I'm running out of battery and I don't think I'm not charging.
Oh, no.
That's not good, Deb.
Stu, are you
No,
there?
I'm
Yeah,
playing
me.
around with the plug, but
It helps if you plug it in.
I have it plugged in, but it's just not charging.
Sorry.
You know, he just knows he's better at all computer stuff than I am.
No,
So he's
I
gonna
just like
present
to be
us
a
all
pain in
the
the butt.
time.
But he is, you know, get over
He
it.
is, I admit it.
I
I'm
just
paying
like
your
to be a
electric
pain in the
bill.
butt.
Help me.
Just wish you wouldn't let us know so much.
First of all, welcome, Stu.
Hello.
I want to thank you for your commitment to us because I know you've left your children's games to come here today.
No, I appreciate they actually just wrapped up. So we
Oh, perfect,
timing worked
perfect.
out.
Oh, good. I'm glad we did it this way then. We're gonna do Parks and Recreations.
Hmm.
Now, did we get an email with, is this current, Chris, what we have in front of us?
I believe it is based on looking at the numbers. There was one just change to note on the Excel spreadsheet line 532, which was the beach coordinator. The request was actually an increase. It looks like a decrease, but it should have been an increase to 9,500 rather than a decrease to 7,500. And some of that, as you'll see, and we can talk about, is a reflection on one, just the cost of everything being, I think, fundamentally more expensive for positions. And secondarily, that's a role that we feel that there's an opportunity to utilize the person's skill set a little earlier in the season than we had before to help lay some of the groundwork. So that would be the only change from what you have or what Chris had circulated with the backup this morning.
So yeah, what should that number be?
It should be 9,500 and it's listed at 7,500. So
Okay, I mean.
this year it was approved at 8,500, just to give a comparison point.
Okay, change, all right. Sorry about that.
No, all good.
All right, yeah, because that whole number across is wrong then. Oh, no,
No, the total will be
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
It'll go up by 1,000, so it's 58,500.
all right, let's
And
start.
the variance is 10,200.
All right, so let's start from the beginning,
Okay.
Parks and Programs. And that coordinator does what?
So the Parks and Programs Coordinator oversees the summer camp program. And in the job description, it also asks for them to facilitate with leagues and other individuals who are looking to run events, camps, things on fields, essentially. This past year, and this will be the same for the beaches as well, we weren't quite certain due to COVID what the availability of our programming was going to be. So there was a reduction in what we were able to use the budget for. We ran a shorter camp this past summer than we were expecting or hoping to. But we're fully expecting to be at full capacity and grow this coming year. And so we do have somebody, it's the same counselor, the camp coordinator who was there last year, who did a phenomenal job for us. We've already reached out to her about potentially re-engaging and starting a lot earlier. I do think that both the camp coordinator and the beach coordinator came before you at the end of last year and did relay some of the challenges that they ran into. And we were really fortunate to get the staff we did when we did.
Thank you. Any question on that from the council? Camp counselors, that went up a little bit, 4,000.
Yep. Again, what we're looking at is running an extended program and growing it. I think, especially now that we're seeing, thankfully, a reduction in COVID, there is a huge demand for recreational activities. And I would offer that when it says camp counselors, in the past, that's traditionally been for youth programming almost exclusively. Among our commission, there is a conversation occurring about how could we look at that extending into adult recreation as well. So, and just to give a data point on that, I spoke to the U.S. Tennis Association yesterday about a program where we could potentially make better use of our tennis courts. In addition to that, the Rhode Island Recreational Professionals Association reached out about potentially holding a regional component of their pickleball state tournament in Tiverton. And so what we're looking at is trying to figure out how do we spent the last couple of years essentially trying to build a solid foundation. And what you're seeing in our requests is the intent to try and grow and really capitalize on the work we've done.
Perfect. Any questions? All right. Transportation hasn't changed. Summer supplies went up 1,000, and that reflects the same thing, the expansion of the program.
Correct. Yep.
And online registration, are we going to continue that? We did that because of COVID, right?
We did it because of COVID, but it also is something where you'll see that come online a little bit later on the spring under the current budget. And then what we're looking for with this line item is continuing it. And the idea behind that is it could be utilized for any type of recreational activity or event. And that's not just camps, that could be ticket sales for things. I would also fully expect that if there are other committees or commissions that have an interest in using this, that it would be fully available to them as well.
So, and I don't know the mechanics of what they do. So would something like this be able to be expanded if it made sense to the Harbor Commission for collecting mooring fees? And as well, some of the ideas that they have around the use of the docks?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm due to connect with them next week. You'll notice there's actually a line item in here as well for credit card processing, and that is reflective of people driving through the gates at the beaches. But one of the things I think to look at is that the credit card processing literally just lets you pay for a credit card to be handed something. What the online registration system reflects is a fully functional system that could potentially look at exactly what you referred to, Councilor.
Right.
Stu, can I ask you a couple of questions quick?
Please.
So do we currently do credit card processing, or is that something you'd like to do?
We're looking to add that at the beaches. So right at the moment, we're cash only.
Okay, now you may not understand what I'm talking about here, but we've got a couple of spreadsheets. One was the one previous to the one we're currently looking at. And on it, we had winter recreation, which is not on the new one.
Mm-hmm.
We had town farm bogland security, which is not on the new sheet. Mm-hmm. And we had, I think, supplies, which is, no, we had supplies. So I guess I'll ask Chris, what happened to winter recreation and town farm bogland security?
So my understanding is winter recreation is now part of
the
special events.
The event.
Special events.
Yep. So, and I can answer the question. So we decided in speaking with Chris that the additional security system was a capital expense. So we removed it from this. and indicated that if there's an appropriate time, we can discuss it. Without going too far into it, the idea would be that the one remaining area in town that isn't really set to be on the same system and fed to the police station is Pecasset. So that was what we were looking at with that. That was a incorrect line item where it said Town Farm, but in parens it said Pecasset. And then the special events includes the $1,500 for winter recreation. It also reflects a couple of other items, and this is one that one of these that can't get it if you don't ask for it kind of deals. So within the special events, one of the things are
You know what I'm
commission.
saying?
I'm sorry?
So you took out the winter, you took out the stuff that Jay just said, which were all line items.
The only line item, so in the backup that you'd received from Chris, the capital piece did come out. That $1,500 was incorporated into the special events line.
Okay.
And the special events includes an increase, it includes the same recreational activities we've done in the past, which had fallen under winter recreation, which included like trunk or treat and the tree lighting, but also includes an expansion into looking to revisit Tiverton days, which would include the parade and the event. We actually spoke to that committee and are interested to work with them on that. It includes potentially a summer concert series. And the big expense in there would be the addition of fireworks at some point. And so the fireworks account for $25,000 in that, and that number is based on estimates that we've seen that cost of fireworks run somewhere between $800 and $1,000 per minute to produce. The expectation is that that probably wouldn't cover all of it. It might cover most of it, but based on some local community outreach, the thought there and prior history is that we would be able to find some support to help cover the rest of it. So that's sort of, I think, the one big outlier from a programmatic standpoint, but there has been interest in that element in the past.
So Stu, wasn't there, I may be wrong, wasn't there an expense associated with the monitoring, or I forget what the term was, of having cameras at Grinnell's, Pecasset, and Bogland?
Yeah, so those expenses had been approved previously by the town council, and they're being installed, so they don't have to fall into this line item. Internet related elements would probably fall under summer recreation with supplies. We needed to for some of the internet costs. And the chief and I have talked a little bit about that, but there are no other ongoing expenses. The one delay really in getting them installed at Fogland comes down to the grant that Open Space had applied for, and where potentially having a new shed and how that would affect where the installation would go. So those have already been approved previously, I think, by this council. This would be the Pecasset piece would just be an extension for capital expenses.
Okay, so any fees associated with that, you'll just put in another bucket.
I would come forward separately for that one.
Yeah.
So if I remember right now, I think it's like whatever the cost is of running those security hotspots and cameras are coming out of the police department's budget right now.
I believe so. Yep.
But should it remain there?
I think that-
Well, if we want to continue getting the same rate, I think that's the only way we can do it.
Yeah, I remember that now. Chief
Okay.
Jones had yeah, okay, got it.
So what I was talking about was, see where it says grand total at the end of your budget. So summer rec and links. The grand total for parks and recreations you have was 4,300. That was.
Yeah, that does, because I need to add the 1,500 back in there for winter recreation.
Well, if I look at your the grand total was 72,800.
Okay, all right, I see what, yep.
You see what I'm looking
Going
at?
107.
It doesn't add up, yep.
It does, because you had wrote 72,800 in your last spreadsheet. So the grand total, you didn't add the 20,
So that's got to be a linking error in the computation.
because
I'll
last
fix-
year
I'll
we
fix
actually.
that.
So,
All right,
well, it
you're
looks
right.
better. It looks better because we actually allocated last year 72,800.
Right, you're right.
And so now it's 105, so it's not as much of an increase as it reflects.
I had the same issue I was gonna get to.
Yeah,
Okay, let me
Well, I was looking at that saying, that's not right. No, it's just that it makes it look better, Stu.
I'll take that.
Because it
was
looks
fine,
like you're
that's all
asking for, it looks like you're asking for $56,000 more than last year, and in reality, you really aren't.
So the
Well,
request is actually 135. There's a linking error somewhere in the formula. 'cause
Oh.
it's-
Yeah,
it's
you're
a
not linking-
135 request.
Yeah, you're not linking to the beaches.
It's actually a 130,
So-
right? That's what it is. So there must have been a change in this somehow.
Yes, one,
That's-
yeah.
Probably my mistake when I sent it to Chris, so I apologize for that.
No, I should have double checked it.
No, it's always Chris's fault, Stu.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. You know, I have another saying for that, but that's okay.
I'll
Well,
blame
when I
Chris
was
for other
gonna-
things. I'll take this one.
When I was going through this yesterday, I got to recreation and I'm going, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? No.
Well, and I do want to offer up that I think that the biggest places where you're seeing asks on behalf of recreation are with the addition of an events coordinator. There's a line item in
Yeah.
there, and then also for fireworks. And so why I offer up how this came about from the conversation with our commission is that what we're essentially trying to do as volunteers is mirror what is occurring in other communities that are serving similar sized populations that not only have full-time recreation directors, but also have additional support staff. And so while I think we are fortunate that we have a really strong commission with people that are dedicated and have guidance from great counselors as well, it's a lot for volunteers to take on if we're looking to continue growing. So I put these out for consideration, and I understand that you have a lot of other budgets that you're looking at and a lot of other concerns as well. Just felt it was important to share where we're coming from.
I would just like to echo the hard work and the quality work being done by the Recreation Commission on and the hours that all of you and others put in to make this all happen for us, because you're right, in other communities there are there's a lot more depth to staffing and the like. And you know, I think it's also important to look at of that 71,300 for the approved FTR from last year. The actuals through 12/31 of this year is just around $60,000 in terms of income. So it's offset almost completely, at least for the current year, by the income that's generated from all of the activities.
And I would echo your comment in that I think our goal in this is not to necessarily look at how we make money. It's to either be neutral or, if nothing else, ensure that we're providing opportunities for the residents of Tiverton and also opportunities for the businesses of Tiverton to engage with recreational activities. So this is not, in no shape or form is this ever going to be a for-profit venture for us,
Right.
but it does have huge ancillary benefits.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you, Stu, but the fact is that you do more than break even. You do bring in a lot more money than you spend, and the added benefit is what we get. So I have always thought that, you know, we should pump a little bit of that back.
I won't argue. How's that?
Well, again, I do know that Stu puts in a ton of hours on dealing
he
with
does.
these things. So
Well,
giving him a little bit more assistance might help.
in a way, we are putting it back because it goes into the general fund and we can use that for tax relief and
Yeah.
we are giving it back. And we need to point that out,
Right.
that they're bringing in as much or over what they're spending, but it goes into the general fund. It's not like it goes somewhere. And we all know that the general fund, we do use for tax relief to a certain extent.
Well, plus he's getting back to providing some of the services that were pre-COVID, that we, you know, where we had
Oh,
more
absolutely.
programming that we, you know, the last couple of years, we haven't been able to do some of this programming. And hopefully we can get back to fully doing everything we used to do.
And this summer, people are gonna want to do more because of the last 2 summers.
Yeah, people are loose. They want to do things.
Joe, you have your hand
Yep.
up.
Yeah, as a member of the, a liaison member of the recreation, being there for so many years, I would just like to say, I'd like to commend Stu for the job he's done. I mean, I've been there for about 6 or 7 years and he's done an outstanding job. And I just like to commend him. And I think that, he puts in an awful lot of time and effort into what he does. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Yes.
And if I may, I would also just like to extend a thanks to our DPW director and our fire chief and our police chief, because I think one of the things that's allowed us to grow is the fact that we do all coordinate and collaborate. And so what the result of that is, and it does play into the conversations you're having now, is that whatever we're spending as a community is getting force multiplied across different areas. And I think that's really important rather than doing it in silos. And that's why I'm also excited to work more with open space and the Harbor Commission.
I'm glad they reached out to you, Stu. Because I think what they're suggesting is a really good thing. So hopefully we can work together and get that done also.
Agreed.
Any other questions? Oh, Joan?
Sorry, I was on mute. This is just for my own benefit. Stu, on the credit card processing system, is that like the software setup and then the processing fees all included in one?
Yep. So the number that's there is reflective of just some research we did with a company called Laz Parking, which does all of the parks for the state, all their beaches. And so that's a ballpark number for what they gave us. Obviously, we need to take a look at what the final number would be, but I think that's probably the high end of what you would see. And that would end up, it's a combination of the hardware and the fees associated with it.
So do you only pay for the hardware once?
I believe so. I have to double check. I think we own it when we buy it, but I can double check. I'll also send you what the quote is if it comes to that point.
Well, I'm just wanted to get an idea of, because I'm thinking about it for our office. Because we only do cash and check.
Yeah.
That's a little antiquated.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a couple of things we could look at as well. So through Town Farm, we've been able to collect donations through PayPal, and I know that the dog park was also looking at it. So it seems like there are a couple parallel conversations going on that we can loop you in on to figure out how to streamline, because happy to help.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Any other questions for Stu? Stu, I want to thank you. I agree with everybody. You and your committee does an awesome job, and we couldn't ask for more. And we thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate the time.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Stu. All right. So we've really made a dent in this. But we still need at least one full meeting. And I don't know how you all feel about doing it next Saturday. It's another Saturday, but I just wanted to know how you feel about doing it again.
I'll just have to let my idiot light on my car go by another week because it's shown up.
What do you want to do? You want to do it at 11?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Not
I
facial
cannot-
recognition, is it?
Yeah, I cannot do next Saturday,
Okay, at all?
not at all. I apologize.
No, it's fine. It's just, we have to send our final budget to Chris on March 9th. So this is what I'm thinking. On that Saturday, we review the rest. And if you notice, I did put a couple on our town agenda to try to get, on Monday night. I think I put tax assessor and somebody else.
Collector.
Treasurer?
Oh no, I didn't put treasurer, did I?
No, collector.
Collector.
Are we planning like 9 a.m.?
Yes.
I might be able to do a little bit.
Okay.
I've got to just, I have a commitment, but I'm not sure what time it starts.
And then I'm thinking March 8th, the night before March 9th. And the only reason why I'm doing March 8th is I can't do our off Monday. I'm on call for the whole night, so I can't be dependable. But March 8th, I'm thinking, hopefully we'll get everything done. And March 8th, we'll talk about what our concerns in the budget. I'm hoping March 8th, we can finalize it. So
What day of the
everybody-
week is that, Denise? I'm
It's a
sorry, I'm on
Tuesday.
my,
It's a Tuesday.
Okay, that's fine. I'm
So,
on my
and I mean-
phone right now, so.
And I'm even thinking of starting it at 6. In case we need a little more time, so we don't go too late at night. But I'm thinking if we
Okay.
started at 7, I don't want to go past 10. If we started at 6, we have some hours, and it might not take long. I'm hoping everybody reviews this, and that day just come with motions on each. What I usually do is each one and say, anybody want any changes, anyone, any motions, and then we just approve each section and then approve the grand total. So usually, like, because we've already got all this legwork done, I think we've all taken notes and we know what we want to do to this point. Oh, we will by then. So I'm thinking Saturday at 9 o'clock. And I'm thinking March 8th at 6 o'clock. Is that good with everyone?
Just give me a
Okay.
second.
Hey,
What? Mike, did you say something?
I said, give me a second. I have to log
Yeah, I
in.
thought so. I'm really distracted by the food in back of you again because I'm starving.
It's all vegetables. It's all
I am
vegetables.
not-
I know,
Yeah, but
that's
they
all
look
right. I
good.
like vegetables.
farmer's
Looks
market.
like summertime.
I'm
It's,
not
it's
available
in
at 9 AM.
What?
I am not available at 9 AM. I'm available after 10:30, but before 9, I'm not available.
So Joe, what I'll do is put like simple stuff through, like stuff we can't really change, like debt service and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
And I'll
fine.
do the same thing I did to, I really thought that you wanted to be here for recreation and fire.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, thank
So
you.
that's why, and that's what I'll try to do. The more important stuff, well, the more stuff that we can change, I'll put in anticipation of when you join in.
Just consider me for the dishwashing job at the school. That's the one I'm really interested in.
Okay.
You got it.
I think
Hey,
they're holding it for you too, Joe.
Denise, on Tuesday, what time?
6 o'clock, is that all right
6.
with everyone?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
off that
that'll
day.
work.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll work.
Don't forget, Mike, Mike and Chris, we will have an agenda meeting, but that's at 2 o'clock on Tuesday,
Yep.
and Joan.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Can I ask, are we still on Zoom at that point?
we don't have to be, right, Mike?
Correct.
No. But do we have to offer hybrid, Mike?
No, as long as,
No?
if you're all in person and, public is allowed to attend, you just, that's it. That's all you have to do.
Okay.
So why don't we, so can I do next Saturday on Zoom, Mike?
Yes, as long as it's, yes.
All right, and
Yes.
maybe March 8th, not do on Zoom. We'll talk about it.
That's fine.
Does,
Yeah.
does anyone have any opinions about this?
No, I just
Personally, I
want to know
find-
where to be.
What?
Personally, I find it easier on Zoom with the budget because I can go back and forth between
Yeah.
stuff easier. But that's me.
Yeah.
That's only me.
Well,
I'm better on computer than paper.
So Mike, on March 8th, I can still do Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do
But-
Zoom. I
well,
agree with
it's-
you, Mike, because I have 3
Okay.
computers going.
Okay, but it's really, to me, it's up to everybody else. I can do either way.
Joan has a question, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, for the Tuesday meeting, I have to post it on Friday. So you have to let me know if that's Zoom on Friday, not Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just do it on Zoom.
Oh, yes. So let's just do it on Zoom, Joan. We'll
Okay.
finish budget on Zoom. And then the March 14th meeting, which is our town council, we'll do it live again. Is that all
Okay.
right?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
March 8th was taken up anyhow.
I'm
And
concerned that Mike's profitability is not, I didn't see one customer go into his market.
You gotta take that, he's gotta take that close sign down.
Forgot it. On the door.
That's a great market in Sevilla, Spain, if you ever get there.
I don't think anyone's going to Europe anytime soon.
And Joan, I will, you need the agenda for Saturday by
Thursday.
Wednesday,
Oh.
it's gotta be posted Wednesday, end of day.
Yep.
All right, I'll get it to you by Tuesday, okay? Because I'm at a union meeting in the morning, and I'll go by you, and I can talk to Chris after the union meeting and see if we can coordinate people to show up. Is that all right, Chris?
No, yeah, no problem.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you. Have a great rest
Oh,
of
you
your
gotta-
weekend. What?
Gotta
Motion
have-
to-
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Where's Joe?
Come on, Joe.
So moved.
Joe, you didn't make the motion. That's why I got
There he
confused.
goes. I'll second it.
Okay, so Joe's made the motion, Jay's second. All those in favor, Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and me. And Joe, thank God you showed up because I think I would, oh no, I wouldn't have lost my
We
farm.
forget Mike?
I keep forgetting me. Oh,
She-
Mike.
She got me. She got me.
Okay.